What if you could give back while you slept? Well, now you can, and let's talk about it. Leesa is an innovative direct-to-consumer online mattress brand that is also socially conscious. Driven by the mission to provide a better place to sleep for everybody, for every 10 mattresses Leesa sells, they'll donate one to a shelter through their 110 program. Also, Leesa plants one tree for every mattress sold and donates 1% of each employee's time to volunteer for local causes. Their 100% American-made mattress is available online in the US, UK, Canada, and Germany. It ships compressed in a box right to your door. Or, if you want to see one in person, they've got a gallery, the Leesa Dream Gallery in New York City. Try a Leesa mattress in your own home for 100 nights risk-free with free shipping, always. Get $100 off when you go to leesa.com/bombcast. That's leesa.com/bombcast.
Hey, it's Tuesday, September the 12th, 2017.
It is.
This is the Giant Bombcast, where we're excited to announce that this year we all have glass backs.
That's right.
Set us down gently.
It's $1,000.
We are
if you want to hold my glass back.
We are highly breakable.
Yeah.
I got a very specific bed. It's just all blankets. It's just a bunch of blankets on top of each other.
How many blankets? Like 30,
Like
40,
down.
40 blankets stacked up?
Yeah,
about?
40 down blankets stacked up.
Man,
That's a good... I just live inside a neoprene case.
sounds all right.
Yeah.
Spongy in there.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Also, parts of me are modeled after a driving glove.
Wow.
What parts?
Leathery,
you made out of
leathery
fine,
parts.
fine you made out of fine
Yeah.
Italian leather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a clear way to signal our products are for assholes
well-
than to say the band on our watch is designed with the same material as a driving glove.
I wasn't immediately going to use the word assholes, but,
Yeah,
they have so been moving in that direction for 10 years now, or more.
I guess so. Maybe this
mean-
is just like the tipping point, or I don't know. This Apple thing is happening as we're recording this.
I mean,
they haven't really gotten to the phone stuff yet, but
or
watching,
they're just starting to get there. Yeah.
watching their watch stuff and like some of that technology sounds really neat, but there's this air about the whole thing that is so high-minded and like, we don't think of our stores as retail spaces. We think of them as town squares.
Yeah.
Now here's this thing modeled after a driving glove because we all live such fancy lifestyles.
I would say the messaging is maybe something they have lost sight of since Steve Jobs was out of the picture.
And it's like they opened with this like relatively touching as a fucking opening of a corporate ass press conference can be, I guess, tribute to Steve Jobs. And you look at it and go like, man, that guy really seemed like he cared about this stuff.
I mean, he was a giant asshole personally.
Oh yeah, sure,
but he was a fun guy to listen to.
But like guy walking out to the stage, kissing fingers and pointing up in the air as he gets ready to talk about Apple TV.
Yeah.
Less so.
Yeah.
Really? Less so.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
I mean, like the courage to take the headphone jack out of the phones
True
will
courage.
never be forgotten.
Yeah.
In the time I've had the phone with no headphone jack, that has come up once.
Yeah.
Where I've been like, oh.
I know
Man.
you don't use headphones, though. A lot of people do.
Every night when I'm laying down and I need to charge my phone and I want to watch something before I go to sleep,
You can't.
it hits me. I need that dongle.
I bought a $30 pair of Bluetooth headphones, and they're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That's
those are fun.
what I ended up doing.
They're all right.
Have they talked about their Did they mention their compound at all?
Compound?
The-
the flying saucers?
They opened with all talk about how the compound, they talked about it the same way they talk about the phones. It was just like, and it's renewable energy, and it's built to
Jesus.
exacting specifications. Like they sounded like crazy people running a fucking cult.
I mean, if you saw that thing, you would think that's like a future cult.
The first photo
Yeah.
I saw of somebody going to that thing, it was just a journalist going into the theater.
Yeah.
It's like floor to ceiling glass and space age looking metal.
Yeah.
And just a bunch of people wearing the exact same clothing, all standing around with just this placid look on their face.
They're gonna put the fucking sneakers on and go up heaven's
Yeah,
chimney. Like
yeah.
they're on their.
It's really getting scary down there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've always, I think that Apple does make pretty decent
Yeah,
products most
yeah.
of the time. but the way they're presenting them has just become increasingly hilarious or scary. I don't know. It's something about it.
It was arguably the goal all the way back to the Macintosh, but especially after Jobs came back the second time, to turn Apple into the computing version of like a Rolex or a Mercedes. His obvious life mission was to make that a premium, high class brand. But not surprising.
Yes, definitely. But I feel like along the way they've made pretty good stuff. And
they do make good stuff and also charge like fucking, what do they make, like 200 or 300% margins on everything? Like it's insanely overpriced.
But I feel like
very high quality.
As the phone stuff has died down, just because I feel like that tech, as much as they like, it's getting more powerful, and the AR stuff's going to be a bigger deal this time.
I'm sorry, they are showing an AR game as we speak.
Yeah, like I feel like the technological changes from phone to phone, and this goes for Android as well. I think it's who cares? Like people, I say it every time. The people just use their phones for fucking Facebook and like social media stuff, and the game stuff along the way. Sure,
I need something to do while I'm packed into Bart like a sardine and can only move my forearm a couple inches in any direction.
Yeah,
and one of those might as well be a video game.
Sure. Yeah, but also since you're packed into such a tight space, it wouldn't be a like graphically complicated video game. It would be a video game where you stare at your phone while the numbers increase and you go, "Yeah, this is pretty good."
Sometimes you have to tap it. Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes, yeah.
I've been pretty into this free-to-play shooter. It's pretty good. It's got like just few enough. Like you can play it as much as you want.
I've seen I like now that everyone is really leaning into the watch an ad for a bonus thing.
Yeah.
I see 2 seconds of a lot of iPhone games before I go, and set my phone down for 30 seconds. And there was one that was a shooter that, I don't know, it looked okay.
Yeah, like I feel like enough headway is being made in the free-to-play space where people are realizing, okay, maybe we can milk a few dollars out of people rather than trying to, sell these premium packages.
The last time I fired up Doomsday Clicker, it was not a video. It was what is the military version of Game of War? Mobile Strike. Mobile Strike.
Okay.
It was not a video of that.
Yes.
It was a little tiny
tutorial,
like
version
playable
of
thing. You had to like play through this little dumb 30-second thing to get the credit.
You don't have to.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can sit there and watch, and eventually the close ad thing will appear.
Okay.
Eventually, you do not have to interact with their bullshit.
I tried doing that once.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's an interesting innovation that, like, for the games that I enjoy playing, I don't mind, and it is simply because I can like hit the button and set the phone down. If there was some kind of eye tracking that was like, you're not looking at the ad and you don't get the credit, that I would.
Well, just wait for AR ads.
Right. Yeah. AR technology could be fun. What if I point my phone at a McDonald's arch and then the Burger King symbol appears? Like that type of type of like competitive advertising of like, we know you're here, so why don't you come across the street where the real shit is? We'll give you a deal. I don't know.
AR is like totally happening.
Oh yeah,
it's coming. Yeah. Like there's a viral thing going around on Twitter. Somebody was like doing something Windows with AR, and they got a pop-up, which is just an old ass looking. You know how Windows occasionally will pop up like a 3 versions old, little like error
something
window.
Broke deep down.
It's like, that looks like Windows XP. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like that popped up, but in the AR thing they were testing, and everywhere they walked, it kept drawing it.
Yeah.
So there were hundreds of these windows floating, like trails of them through this person's office that they were then walking around and ducking under.
That's outstanding.
It was amazing.
That's our hell future.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean that you see it with Microsoft, the way they refuse to talk about virtual reality or AR. They let's use the term mixed reality.
Yeah, this reality is bad enough, man. I don't need
I'm
it
with
augmented.
you. I don't think
I'm afraid of that.
We're not going to fix real reality by escaping into fake reality.
But I'm going to try.
It's not a good solution.
Yeah.
Speaking of, anyone play any video game?
No. What?
I played the only video game.
Destiny 2 came out last
week.
NHL.
Has anybody in this room played anything but Destiny 2 since this time last week?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that.
45 minutes.
I've been continuing to play some Mario and Rabbids.
Okay.
It is losing steam. I am enjoying it less the more I play of it. Like the way it develops.
I thought it already lost steam.
Yeah,
they're just in the Blizzard launcher, right?
Yeah, no,
okay.
It's only Mario and Rabbids is only on the Nintendo Switch.
Gotcha.
It's also best on the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, also best on. Yeah, it's on paper I really love it, and I really enjoyed the first 2 worlds. And as I move further through World 3, like it's just kind of getting a little tedious. Like it's the puzzles outside of the combat missions are getting it's like slightly more elaborate, but not any more fun.
Are those the required ones?
Yeah.
Okay, because
like,
they're also
push these blocks to proceed. There's the side stuff, which is side stuff, and whatever, you can take it or leave it.
Those the little blue coin rooms.
There are those too.
Yeah.
But there are some puzzles that are still in that world that just get you unlockable concept art or whatever.
I feel like the stuff in World 2 was fine. Yeah. Like it was just easy enough, but also like, I have to think a few steps ahead here and kind of figure things out.
World 3 ratchets things up with, it gives the enemies more abilities that kind of nullify like some of your abilities, and that's cool because it kind of makes you need to change it up a little bit. But by that point, you've spec'd so hard in a direction that
do you have to make choices, or I was wondering if you could get enough points to just get everything.
And all the points go to all your characters, so it's not like you're spending from a pool. So you could just say like, I'm going to spec my main team this way and this other team this other way.
But I mean, could you get to the point where you bought every skill on the tree?
Yeah, seems like it. I mean, I don't know if there are enough challenge missions.
You probably have to go back through the older worlds with the new unlocks you get.
But yeah, I think the out of combat stuff has really worn out its welcome to where it just feels like busy work, and it's not especially difficult or like it's not a fun challenge. It's just like you look at it and go like, well, I'm just gonna hit switches until I solve the puzzle, and then you hit a few switches for a while, and you go, that's not quite it. I'll logic out the rest of it from here now that I've sussed out what they were asking of me, and then you move on. Like it's not super enjoyable, and the combat is fine. I don't know. I do really like a lot of things about it, but it's wearing out its welcome earlier than I thought.
So story go anywhere interesting?
Not yet.
Like I'm still excited to get that moment that you guys have been talking about.
Yeah, there is a fantastic moment in that game. Yeah, in I guess it's
you guys said World 2, and that's what I keep hearing. Yeah,
that's where I played up to. I beat World 2 and then stopped.
I honestly like that's. If I was not looking to kind of catch up on this one and maybe write a review at the end of all this process, I probably would have stopped at the end of World 2. Or at the very early part of World 3. I would have been like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Going on a 4-hour flight on Thursday, and I feel like there and back I feel like this is my playing game. And
sure. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, it's the playing game.
Even then, like depending on the length of the flight, I don't know that I would want to play it for a whole flight. Like,
that's a long time to play that game.
I really like the game, but I think we've said before, I feel like 3 battles is good, and then you're kind of like, well, it's
a challenge to power through it because after a few battles, it's just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do this.
I mean, it changes a little bit. Yeah. They mix different enemies in there, and you get new stuff, but it's kind of the same thing.
And the way they change it up, I think, they change it up in ways that I don't necessarily like. They have some escort missions in there and stuff that I just don't like doing.
Suck.
Like I have yet to lose one, so like
I
don't enjoy them, but also it hasn't been a problem. But yeah. And then, those escort missions where you're like, okay, there are some that are just, there was one I played last night where literally you're just kind of being chased through the whole level. So you're kind of like, you're moving the escort character up as far as you can while the other 3 characters are kind of surrounding it, a couple behind to take care of the enemies that are trying to creep up and one ahead because they do spring something on you. And it just took forever. It's like there's a lot of turns without combat. I'm just like moving the squad through this very slowly, taking turns. It was just, at some point, it was just a little too much. It's just a little too much. I still think that game is really neat and a really strong first impression, but it's like I said, wearing out its welcome.
Okay. Seems to have gelled well, pretty well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I think the script is an interesting. We'll look back on
Better
this.
than expected,
We'll look back on this as like a really strange thing that Nintendo allowed them to do. There's like was it Boulder? No, it's not Boulderized. The when you just use a bunch of nonsense characters to infer swearing, like Qbert.
Oh yeah.
I forget the actual term for that.
Yeah,
but like your Roomba does that.
Oh, okay.
And it's like in the context of like Mario standing there right next to him. It's like this is Like, not that that's like some fucking extreme thing, but it's a weird thing to have in a game where Mario is the first word of the title.
How could you violate Mario's virgin ears?
Yeah, a little bit.
He just doesn't understand it because nobody cusses in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Sure.
Those are just like, I don't know, bring those words in.
But in Rabbit Land, Rabbit Land is just nonstop filth all the time.
Well, that's the scary thing is he doesn't understand it, so he's just going to start repeating it.
He's very impressionable that way.
Where did you learn that language, young man?
Where did you hear that? I'm glad to hear it gets hard at least, because like you had been saying, it was, and it is kind of easy early on.
Oh but at the same time, I don't know that hard is the word I'd use.
Okay.
It's that there's more of a challenge, but also like I'm not enjoying taking on the increased challenge.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like, oh, I've got all these skills and I've gotten better at it, and now here we go.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh, well, these enemies teleport, so the Overwatch abilities are null and void. So it becomes like, oh, well, I guess I have to change everything about this, and then I guess hopefully I have enough coins to buy upgraded weapons for the characters I haven't been using, because I should probably just bring in someone else with different abilities for these fights.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I would still take that
stuff
over it being a cakewalk the whole time. Like, my overriding feeling about first-party Nintendo stuff for the longest time was that it was pleasant. You know,
right?
Not especially difficult.
Yeah.
And then like Breath of the Wild came out, and like that game is kind of unforgiving in spots.
Right.
Not like
But that's the thing you'd say about those games, I think, is that they're pleasant until you see like the credits or whatever, and then or you get to a certain point, and then they're like, oh, now you have to like do all the side shit that you've been ignoring.
Yeah,
get all these red coins
like
to unlock all this stuff.
Mario 3D World and 3D Land got pretty brutal.
It was, but like brutal in a not a great way sometimes. I thought, but yeah, it's that game is a game I really want to like, but the more I play it, the more that is starting to elude me, and that's a bummer. Yeah. But really great premise.
Yeah, I'm glad I had bought a Switch to play it.
Yeah,
because there are other good Switch games. Like if that were the only game, like, but yeah, it's neat. Destiny.
Destiny 2.
Let's just do it.
What's everybody's
we got music
light level?
277.
Fuck, man.
272.
230.
Because I got the hot tip from Eric Tay
240.
on day one that I should hang on to all of my powerful gear milestones until I hit 265 and then turn them all in simultaneously, which I did, and that helped.
So I'm going to say that bit of knowledge is one of the biggest bullshit things about that game.
Oh, you mean like that they don't tell you that? There are a lot of things
that
they
don't tell you that they don't, that there's no way around it on week one. You know, like you kind of get to this point of, oh, well, you did the quests in the wrong order, so you're not as powerful as somebody else. Like, fuck that. That's a terrible video game experience.
On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, like, you're still high enough level to do anything currently in the game.
Yeah. But
like at that point, it's just a psychological need for the number to get bigger, which, trust me, I understand.
There's a lot of like light shame, like light pressure in that game. Seriously. Like if you're not at the certain level, you can't play with your homies.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do.
I mean, if you're trying to experience the stuff that they're experiencing.
What
a raid or something like that.
Well, yeah. The raid's not out, but also
right. But when it is,
more importantly,
everybody's going to be jumping in on that.
More importantly,
I'm going to be under level.
No. The raid is like shockingly low level this time. Like people,
I'm 170.
I was going to say, you're 170. Oh, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. You sure?
I mean, you won't be able to play the raid until you're like 260.
Okay.
But you'll get there over the course of doing regular stuff.
You get to 265 just by playing the game. Like no nightfalls, nothing crazy. Like the soft cap for blue items is 265. So you'll be fine.
I feel like I've been putting in like all of my free time into this game, and I'm
you
not
need more
nearly,
free time.
I guess so.
Is there a way to? Is there an hour counter out there yet? I know there was a time wasted for Destiny 1. I haven't seen the same thing for Destiny 2. I would love to know what my hour count is.
So here's another bullshit thing about Destiny 2. I have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to the high power. I beat the game. I'm at 240 light. There's so many fucking things in this game that I have no idea what you're talking about.
This sounds insane, but I would almost say there's too much of a good thing in this game.
No, I'd say that instead it's that they continue to do a really bad job of exposing and like what the end game stuff means, what powerful gear means.
Yeah, I mean that's a
all that
related
sort of
like,
stuff.
I didn't play Destiny 1.
Right.
So
I think plenty of people who did play Destiny 1, unless they played it obsessively for the full 3 years or whatever it is, would be in this exact same boat regardless. People who played vanilla Destiny and walked away.
But so that's exactly what I mean is
people that will get into the game on the PC.
There are so many ways.
The first game.
There's so many ways to get good gear in this game that like you and I rocketed to the point where we have nothing less to do in 5 days.
Yeah.
And
That's also super concerning.
but at the same time, I have not played a game this obsessively in I don't know how long.
It's super concerning.
I haven't done
but also,
anything else.
I've played this game for, I don't know, 30 hours or whatever it's been for somewhere, and I had a good time with it up until this point. So for a $60 video game, I got more hours out of it that I enjoyed than probably most other $60 video games.
That's certainly
So
one way of looking at
if
it.
I walk away from it at this point, I'd be like,
sense, like
in an
30
MMO
hours.
sense, then it's not it's not fully one of those.
As bad
either.
as an
It's
MMO.
not fully one of those.
Like
they treat it as
I've been
such.
trying to think of it more like Diablo rather than.
Well, then I
World of
want a
Warcraft?
shitload more loot. Then
Well, there's plenty of loot.
Have you
finished
beaten
the story?
no.
Oh well, that's your problem. Like everything opens up after you finish the campaign.
God damn it.
Yeah,
the
campaign
they-
is kind of is
Quit
way more of
shaming
a
me.
tutorial this time.
Yeah, it's I don't love the way that. So in the first game, it was like you did 5 campaign missions and then you got your first strike. You know,
Which is
and
like a
then
good multiplayer chunk of content, just repeatable.
Like they intermixed the other types of things to do in Destiny 1 throughout the campaign a lot better. And this one, it's just nothing but story mission, like what, 15 in a row or something?
Yeah, and I mean,
There
there's
are
other
side
there's-
things.
yeah, you could do adventures. You could the competitive multiplayer opens up relatively early on.
Yeah, but the way they hold strikes in particular back till you've practically finished the story is like kind of baffling to me.
I did just unlock those.
Yeah,
Maybe,
you could go do those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stuff that like I think is smarter structurally. Like the idea that like you don't get a sparrow, like you can't fast travel around, or you can't like rocket around a zone until the very end of the game, makes sense in the context of like you should look at these areas because A, they look really good, B, there's a bunch of shit hidden everywhere and public events and things popping off that it's worth it for you to be on foot because then you're shooting all of it.
That's why my Pop-Tarts code isn't working. Bungie's like, yeah, hey, Kellogg's, we want them to see the game. Don't give out the sparrows.
Well, yeah.
But I got a sparrow. I got a random sparrow drop like way before you're supposed
so
to
it's
get
not
that
a story.
It's
element.
not a story. It is a story thing,
Right.
but apparently it can happen.
They give you a green sparrow after you finish the story, but I had a blue sparrow drop like 4 or 5 missions before that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But so like in context, I think that makes sense. Like, okay, don't get the thing that lets you just zip from place to place until you've lived in those areas and done video game ass things in those areas so that you're not just flying past it, ignoring it all.
And that is effective.
I get why they would do that. It works.
Yeah.
But in the context of this being a sequel to a game that gave you that thing out of the fucking gate, it's maddening.
Yeah, that was another one like the strikes where I was like, where the fuck is the sparrow? Because you get your sparrow in the first zone of Destiny 1.
Right.
It's just a thing you have.
So am I supposed to zip through the story stuff or not zip through the story stuff? The story stuff seems better this time around.
It is. It is.
It's better structured.
It's better
and
structured. It's a way worse story.
Yes.
Okay.
All live games, and this is another point where you might compare it to an MMO. I feel like so many MMOs all eventually trend towards ridiculous in their writing.
Yeah.
Where at some point they realize like all the players want to do is hit the button and run to the arrow, write whatever the fuck you want, and they hit that point pretty early in the 10-year lifespan of Destiny. Where everything in this game is just kind of flip and whatever, and yeah, there is a story. They make a better bad guy. They resolve the story. They don't leave it open until you play the raid or whatever. Like the story has an open and a close.
Okay.
But there are 4 different fucking wisecracking robots in this game.
Yeah.
And only one of them is good.
Which one?
Fail safe. And when I say good, I mean good in comparison.
I think the Ghost is the only goofy comic relief robot I need.
I think
That was
they're all
plenty
silly.
for me.
The Ghost works out better in this game than I thought it would.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I would agree with you. Like the failsafe thing just is like, oh, you needed to write Tiny Tina into your game?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
When you made the tiny,
No. I will not sit here.
I couldn't
and
quite
hear-
put my finger on it, and then you made the Tiny Tina comparison last week, and I was like, yeah,
No.
sure.
Tiny Tina is the worst video game character that has ever existed in any video game ever. Failsafe is nowhere close to that. I will not sit here.
Same ballpark though.
No,
Tiny
Definitely-
Tina is
It's
way
closer-
worse.
It's closer to Gladys.
Definitely cut from the same
It's way
cloth.
closer to Gladys, but not as good.
Either,
like
well,
yeah,
that's the
not-
thing.
not
Either way, it is.
It's bad Gladys, good Tiny Tina is
Yeah.
like right kind of
no.
next to each other on the
And
scale.
in both
right?
in both cases, it's been done better before.
the line "It's not murder if it's robots" is funny.
That was good. Yes, but that is the exception to the rule with that character.
And I think the Nathan Fillion guy,
He's a too over the top. Like he was. There was
He's the
just
worst.
enough of him
Shitty.
in the first one.
it's like that is my now least favorite thing in all of fiction is the puckish fucking rogue.
Oh, I thought
that
you were
is
going to say
just
Nathan Fillion.
well, I mean, like that. Apparently, that's the only character Nathan Fillion plays in games, right? I don't think I've seen him act in anything ever.
Well, he's acting, but he's.
I mean, in like on live action,
he's
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anything he's done outside of video games.
Like he was in Castle for years, but he's the same character. Like he's sort of typecast. Like he is the smarmy
and
roguish heart of gold.
Fuck that. Like it's like
fine
everyone's just writing. They're like, well, we want a Han Solo or Indiana Jones type here. It's kind of a smarmy prick that you can't help but love.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
You know what? Buck was pretty good.
Buck from
ODST.
Yeah. No,
Buck was all right.
Buck is all right.
He reined it in a little bit on that one. He was good in that.
That was earlier. Yeah. It was a reined in version of that, to be sure. But also, I feel like it was before we had hit some kind of critical mass with
we have
that character
I think
type.
we have surpassed peak Nathan Fillion. Probably,
I laughed at that one part where he was holding the chicken. And that's like the only time he ever made me not think he was the worst.
I mean, there are individual good lines from all those characters. It's just too much. It's just too much.
No, there's no good lines from Cade.
Like all the stuff early on when you first get to the first Earth zone and there's a British guy and they're always talking about tea and just like, oh, like, all right, I guess. They just write a bunch of like meaningless fluff shit.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do a brief spoiler cast tomorrow, so
we'll get into more story stuff.
But I feel like they overcorrected. Like, People thought Destiny 1 did not have enough story, that it was not coherent enough, which that's a fair criticism.
There's zero mysticism in this game.
But yes,
like,
the first game was all sort of mystique.
But also some of that is the fault of like how poorly they did the story. It left you with your mind to try to fill in blanks that shouldn't have needed to be filled in.
Like the mysterious stranger stuff never got resolved, and everybody was like, oh, who's she communicating with? Who's she talking to all this time? Like, what's her deal? And like that stuff was obviously the result of them taking the story apart and sticking it back together in bad ways, but there was genuine mystery to a lot of the stuff in Destiny.
The nature of the world is fascinating. And there are elements of this game where they do kind of make good on that.
But it's all around the edges. None of that is in the main story anymore. And that's a bummer.
Like, it feels like it's for as much like the main story, so much of it is so fluff along the way.
Or it's just very trite. It's very rote. It's very much like Mass Effect 2, like, let's get the team back together.
Right.
Like, there's no
and that was the story that you could tell they were going to tell when they unveiled the game and they showed the like going to rescue the Titan class trainer guy. And you were like, oh, so this entire like the whole first 2/3 of this game is going to be reassembling the 3 guys that gave you quests from the first one. Yeah. And then at some point you're going to go on to fight the actual threat or whatever.
And that it feels like that just ends up reducing a lot of the larger than life aspects of the Destiny universe to just like set pieces along the way. You know? It's just like the Hive are just a thing to shoot for one planet, and then you move on and shoot some robots. You know, it's like they don't dig into that stuff.
There's a lot of I think there's like decent storytelling after you finish the campaign. I think it's another case where like the stuff or the some of the side missions have like surprisingly deep, like there's more writing in that side stuff than you would expect, and that stuff's been all right.
You're talking about like the adventure missions, the little orange icons on the map, like those are way better than you would think for like little throwaway side missions. But the game feels like it's funneling you away from doing them because there are better ways to get loot faster than those. Yeah, and you level up fast enough that they're always pushing you to go to the next planet. Some of those missions are good though. Yeah, like people should check those out.
And I think that they've responded to the way people play the first game with how they handle public quests, with how they handle, there's a lot of quality of life changes that are smart, but again, also like there was a mystique about public quests in the first game before people charted it out and built a website saying at 10 minutes past the hour, this is going to happen here. There was something cool about that first time when you were like in an area and suddenly the sky got dark and you didn't know why.
Yeah, and then the giant spider robot drops out of the sky.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Everybody drops everything
like
to shoot
there's
it.
nothing in like that.
Well,
in this game
now
anymore.
it's why is that guy glowing and jumping so well?
There is some of that, but you see the machinery a lot more. Like you see the framework of the game and how everything works.
There's some really weird, cool hidden stuff like the jumping puzzle in the farm, and then
there is
the
still
one
some
in
of
the
it.
tower, the like floor is lava thing. Like there's, I was in a party last night and we were all just like, why is this thing happening? And nobody knew, and so we all went and did, like, I don't know. I don't know that it's completely gone.
It's not, but it's more piecemeal, and I'd say like each individual instance is a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Versus, yeah, like it's that feeling. Like I remember talking about this with The Witness. Like it's one of the most powerful things like a really well built video game world can do is to make you feel like anything could happen, right?
Sure.
It's like that first time you find one of those environmental puzzles in The Witness, you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
right. Yeah.
What else could be?
What is the true nature of this thing?
Yeah, and like Destiny 1 had a lot of that.
Yeah. And I think that there are still kind of like things about that world that have yet to be explained. That I would be personally interested in knowing the answer to.
Like I even had a moment of it, like when you finish the campaign and then you look at the map for each planet afterward, and you realize like, oh my god, there's another entire story quest line on each planet after the campaign is over. But then ultimately, I found out like, oh, each one of those is just an exotic quest. Like each one of those is just a way for you to get an exotic weapon.
Yeah,
and it's the same weapon for everybody. So like even there, like the machinery of it all becomes exposed very quickly.
It's a game where you talk more about the weekly reset and, Tuesday 2 a.m., got to do this. And that was the same as the first game, where you talk more about that than about the universe.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense for the type of game they're making, but also it's kind of a bummer. I think that there's more to be done in this universe than to treat it like a full-on machine. And you're just like, oh, next Tuesday we get to fucking pull the lever some more and see what drops out.
Yeah.
And that's enticing, like whatever, you know, like the same way free-to-play games can be for people.
Sure.
Here's something I'll say about Destiny 2, having not played the first one. Destiny's really fucking fun to play.
Yeah. Also that
worth noting.
It's quite a good shooter.
I think the mission design. I think that
goes without saying, and like I think
it's worth acknowledging.
I have moved away from it because people became so snide about it. With the first game,
sure.
Like people who hated Destiny became incredibly snarky about it being a good shooter because they hated everything else about it.
Well,
whatever.
That's good for them. It's worth acknowledging.
It's a very good.
It
plays incredibly well.
It remains to me the best first-person shooter ever made on a console.
I'm sure there are plenty of people out there like me who didn't play the first Destiny but were curious about it, but just like decided, no, it's not the time in my life or whatever. Like, there's tons of reasons you could have for not wanting to play this game other than just being opposed to this type of game.
Yeah.
And I would say if you have any interest in Destiny at all, like I have felt like I've gotten more than my money worth out of it so far, and there's so much for me to do. I haven't beaten a Nightfall yet. The raids aren't even out.
Nightfall is so good.
I started it with some people who were over leveled, but I just got to a point where I was literally respawning and dying. And I was just like, I can't do this,
I
guys.
normally don't like timed challenges in video games. It's my least favorite thing.
That one is...
But the Nightfall, which is, if for people don't know, it's a strike, which is a kind of a one-off experience of like, I don't know, 20 minutes or
25,
so.
Three players.
3 players go in and you fight a boss at the end, and you kind of make your way through this kind of repeatable thing.
It's a little dungeon.
Yeah, it's a little dungeon. So this is a pumped-up version of that, where they modify it, they add more enemies, and in this case, they add a timer that you can refill 2 to 7 seconds at a time every time you kill something. So you have to kill your way through this mission as fast as you possibly can and beat the boss before your timer expires. And also, like, an elemental damage thing is rolling every minute or so. Like, a different element becomes more powerful, and then
the other two become
at the expense of the other two.
Yeah.
So you're managing a lot of stuff. I think the UI around which element is active is like embarrassingly bad.
Yeah,
there's some weird bad UI things, like the glimmer notifications making your challenges go away.
Don't pop up whenever there's another notification in the way.
Yeah,
that stuff.
It's stuff that like the stuff like they have a kill feed or whatever that shows like if someone opened up a chest or so you know if someone killed someone in multiplayer.
It is very MMO.
It's stuff that like when they started using that for gameplay stuff in the first game, it felt like this really endearingly hacky thing of like, oh, they wanted to add more mechanics to this thing, but there was really no place to put it, so they just inserted vital information into this feed that is like usually scrolling pretty fast, or you're not looking there.
To me, it always felt like a fun mashup of something from a very different genre into a shooter.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, that's an MMO combat log that doesn't belong in a Halo game, but
right.
Here it is.
But it made me feel like it was endearing because it felt like something that they're stretching the limits of their tech in this first game. To then make a second game and not change that in a way that like, oh, if you're going to have one element be powerful, just show it on screen at all times.
Yeah, I bet somebody at Bungie would make the argument that they want that to be missable because that is another layer of team coordination that has to take place. Like every time I did the Nightfall 3 times, and every time like we had to be on our shit of calling out the change every time it happened. But or you would miss it.
Yeah, but then that's like you're glancing over at this scroll of text the whole time. Like that's not a fun video game thing.
It is what it is. It's just it is like everything about that Nightfall is attention management. So
sure,
somebody would probably argue they want that thing to be missable.
I would probably put an icon up for a few seconds in a different spot on the screen, then put it in that feed.
Yeah,
because I think that's
a bad
way
to just like the small text, and like I'm on a TV, I'm far away. My TV's not that big, and I'm far away from it, so it's kind of hard for me to read text sometimes.
Yeah.
So just being able to identify that is tough. But if there was like a symbol, I could just be like, oh, it's time to switch to void.
Well, the text is colored, like it pops up like it says when it says void, it's in purple.
Okay,
so it's got that.
It's still a bad solution to the situation.
It doesn't bother me.
But yeah, it's this game at its best, which I played through most of the story alone and had a good time with it, and then ran some strikes with strangers, and then did the Nightfall with some friends. At its best, this game is like the spiritual follow-up to something like a Phantasy Star Online. That kind of console Diablo experience of like, hey, it's not an MMO, but it is this connected game where your inventory matters, and picking up an item is going to change. It might change everything for you.
Right.
And the next encounter is around the corner. And like PSO, you're running through the same areas that have been reconfigured in a slightly different way from quest to quest. They only have the 4 environments in PSO. Like, this is pretty direct. You could map a lot of what I loved about PSO and the Dreamcast to why I think Destiny is really good.
Yeah.
And I think that, when this game is firing on all cylinders, it brings back those memories in a really strong way for me. And but also with that mix of like what made Halo so good as a campaign game or as a campaign co-op game, that kind of feeling of like, okay, we've got this number of people here, we've got to manage this threat and the different ways you can come up with to deal with it. The different tools at your disposal. And this game pulls things out like one level further than like Halo ever did, because it does have character growth and inventory management and stuff like that, where it's like, okay, I'm actually going to switch to this weapon for this situation because it's in my inventory. Not like, oh, well, you can tell the sniper encounter's coming up because Master Chief just found a sniper rifle. Like, though there is one spot in Destiny 2 where they totally force you to pick up a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And
it is very dynamic in that way.
Yeah, and I think that it becomes like this team-based approach to problem solving that I think a lot of games don't do very well when they do it. Mm-hmm. Like this game, as much as it does hold your hand through the entire campaign, when you get to some of that end game stuff, and they just kind of they don't hold your hand, and I appreciate that about it, where there is that element of just like, hey, you've played a lot of this game, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that when they do all that right, like, those encounters become very satisfying, because you really are kind of breaking it down to like, okay, when we get up here, there's going to be this phase of this boss fight, then he's going to run away and do this. We have to deal with these ads, like the MMO speak that worms its way into Destiny conversations is better than it is in most of the MMOs I've played, because it is a faster action, more skill oriented. Well, I don't want to take away from MMOs. There is certainly a skill there. But it is a more action-oriented approach.
It's got the added layer of aiming a weapon and firing it, and like flying through the air. And,
right,
and
the movement abilities and the choices you make about how you build your character and becoming comfortable with like which style of jump you use and stuff like that. I think
that was something that it was really cool. So I got a really nice chest piece that looks really fucking cool and had really good light and stuff, but it was for a subclass that I wasn't playing a lot with. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just try this out. And I ended up really enjoying that playstyle more, just because I was forced to do it because I found a really good piece of loot. And that's something, that's an experience you don't get in games a lot, where it's like, hey, why don't you just try this other thing?
It does gently sort of funnel you into trying a lot of stuff like that. Like, that's one of the great things about the Nightfall is that, so like the sensible strategy is, since there are 3 damage types, you want to put like your subclass on one, your energy weapon on another, and then your power weapon on the third. And it's like, okay, my best power weapon is a void sniper rifle. I wasn't planning to snipe in this thing, but it's my best void weapon, so I kind of have to. And then like all of a sudden you're sniping stuff at a very rapid pace when you weren't expecting to.
For us, we had to try like 6 or 7 times, and we would get gear every step along the way. We'd find an engram or two, so we had to go back to town and see what the new guns are. and equip stuff. So like the strategy also changed by virtue of like, oh, I just got a better gun, but it's a submachine gun, so I can't be our ranged guy anymore.
Exactly, like it changes the distance that you're engaging at, and all kinds of variables are constantly fluctuating.
Yeah, and piecing that stuff together, or then breaking it down and going like, okay, like I've typically fought at this exact range through this entire campaign, but because of my current inventory and the demands of this situation as written, I have to change up because the team needs this. I think that stuff is really powerful, and a lot of games don't require you to. They don't give you a good reason, like you were saying, to try the other stuff out. You know, I feel like most games, you find a style that to you feels overpowered, and you play that entire way through it. That way. That's how I approach a lot of games. It's like, oh, I feel like I broke the game.
It helps that you get enough upgrade points to be able to do anything.
Yeah, you can try whatever you want. Yeah. But like, you know, one of my first like exotic items ended up being a set of gloves that let you punch stuff real good. And then there are subclass abilities that also make melee attacks like way stronger, or you know, you start refilling health with every kill. So I punched my way through the majority of that game, which was really satisfying, and it ended up being a really fun way to play it. But then, yeah, you get to that nightfall, and suddenly you're like, oh, like a lot of these enemies are significantly more powerful. And I think that actually it ties back into one of my real complaints with the game, is that your power feels flat over the course of the entire campaign, largely flat.
Yes.
Whereas, like, if you have a scout rifle and it's appropriate for your level or whatever, it's not some underleveled weird thing, and you are in a public area, it's going to take 2 shots to kill a shank. It's going to take 1 shot to kill a dreg in the head. You know, like all that stuff feels constant from the very start of the game to the very end. I started another character and immediately realized, like, oh, I don't feel any less powerful here. So at some point, it makes that whole spoke of the machine feels like a scam.
Yeah,
because like the gear only matters. You're only gearing up for end game stuff because that's the only place where they make it matter. Or you're gearing up because, oh, actually this mini tool or the multi tool has like, it's a really effective scout rifle that, you know, has these fun features on it that I really want to use outside of how much damage it does, because I know it will be high enough damage for what I'm trying to do.
Right.
At least up to a point. And so it really underlines and underscores this feeling of like everything you're doing along the way with loot doesn't matter at all.
It matters a little bit in terms of like I think incoming damage probably matters more than outgoing damage. Like I've done some story missions on my second character when I was like 20 power below the recommended, and like you die pretty fast.
But that's the thing. If you're out of their recommended power range, then
that's
gonna, even if you're level 20, that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
I get
but
what
as
you're
I say,
saying.
as long as you're in the recommended range for a game for an activity, it feels identical.
But I mean, that's the problem is you're fighting the same enemies throughout the whole game,
and you're fighting the same enemies from the first game again.
You don't get to a point where you're like roll up on a squad of the legionnaire dudes who are the first enemy you kind of encounter in the story mission and just like wipe them really quick.
They don't have the MMO thing where you can go back to Elwyn Forest and just stand in the middle of a bunch of mobs and they try to hit you and they just can't.
Yeah,
like I think that's just the
concept.
concept.
Even a moment in a story where that happens would be good. Just like you roll out on the final mission and you just like take out a whole fleet at the start of the mission because you're so overpowered.
Right, and I don't mean to say that like you ever feel overpowered or under, like you feel powerful out of the gate in that game, because you know if you're shooting those legionnaires in the head, or even if you're not, they go down fast. It's not a problem. You know, like but you don't feel like you're gaining an edge on them over the course of the game.
I don't have that moment like in Super Metroid once you have the tri-shot laser beam that goes through stuff and you're just running through the world.
You're just like fuck all this stuff. But but you do. But also you can have that moment 10 minutes into the game. And so at some point you just kind of become numb to it. And I think that also like the way gear doesn't matter through most of the game, the way they tie that into, or the way that then impacts this idea that like you being able to color your gear with like these limited use items now, I think that's a bad system.
The shader stuff is terrible.
It's probably the worst thing in the
shader
game.
stuff is indefensible. I don't care what rationale they trot out for it. Like,
it's like the ability to change the color on your guns and your ship and
that's
all
awesome.
that other stuff.
That is awesome.
That's a smart change.
Yes.
Even the idea that you can individually pick different armor pieces to change the color on them, a smart change.
All that stuff is great.
Before it was just one item that colored your entire character, and it always matched. and you were like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, a shader was a single, not a single use. It was
It was a
you
single
had
item.
it, you had it, and you never lost it. But it
You
was
were green now.
It was
Yeah.
you equipped it once on your entire character.
Yeah, okay.
And then you could put it back in your bank, and another character could use it, or whatever. It was you could slot it in and out. Now you burn them when you use them.
Yeah, every time you apply one, it's
and
gone.
so when you finish some quests, and I have a ton of the shaders. Like there's some where I've got 12 of these things.
I have 18 of one, but like all the best ones, I have like 3, and you have 6 pieces of armor. So I have to hope that another drop of that one happens, so I can even get a consistent outfit.
Yeah.
B, you change gear every 10 minutes in this game.
Right, and that's the more important thing is like you know, and when you get to the very end game, you're going to start changing gear less and less.
Yeah.
But it just makes those items dumb.
Yeah.
I could see like saying like, oh, each one can only apply to an individual item, so you need 6 of them if you want to use them. But you can take them out of the slot and use them
when
elsewhere.
you get a new gun, you can apply it to that new gun.
That would solve that problem.
That would be an acceptable compromise.
Yeah,
totally. But,
I think that would be like a best of both worlds thing. But because all of their cosmetic stuff is now sold like a free to play game out of loot crates and all this other stuff, like ship designs, like fucking sparrow designs, all of that stuff comes out like emotes, like as they did in the first game, emotes and dances and that shit.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any good dances?
I have the ramen.
You have spicy ramen?
Yeah.
Fuck.
It dropped out.
Are there other dances or just emotes?
There are other dances
Those are
too.
emotes. Okay.
I have like a kind of
there's no
hip hop style dance.
Some of the emotes are dances.
Oh, so you can't replace the default dance. That's
dance,
what I was
but
thinking.
some of them are, yeah.
Okay. So
that's how it was in the
So-
so
yes, they put more work into the for money emotes, but some of those emotes are pretty good. Like the neon animations and stuff.
And
Yeah.
they've dropped. I have not spent
Oh,
any
did you
money
get
on
one
that
of those?
stuff. Like the ramen thing dropped.
Okay.
Out of one of the packs or whatever.
Okay.
So you can get that stuff without spending any money.
Yeah, and you get like a decent number of them, it seems.
Yeah, I bought I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a one-time purchase on this game because I want to just see what I get. So I bought there's like a, you buy silver. Yeah, there's a starter pack, and I got a ton of shit. I got I think I got a ship. I got like a bunch of colors, a bunch of mods, a couple emotes. Like I was satisfied with the amount of stuff I got. I just felt bad that it had to come to this.
I think the mod thing is the other thing that people are a little up in arms about because that's actual gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
Where the armor mods that fall out of those packs.
But you can get those plenty of other ways.
Exactly.
You can buy them.
They do drop, and I've not spent any money, and my inventory is almost full with that stuff.
You can buy them from the gunsmith also.
Right. Yes. And
then in fact, so they raised the glimmer cap by a factor of like 4 from the first game.
It's 100,000.
Yeah, it used to be like 25,000, and so you were just constantly full. So
and I'm still constantly full.
Yeah, so you can just go buy tons of gear mods.
I haven't used a single mod because I'm like, well, am I not just
it's another thing where like when you replace the gear.
Or...
So now that I'm like using exotics and gear that I'm likely to keep, I finally did start slotting my stuff in. And then when you finally get your power over 280, you can then take 3 common mods and infuse them into one that has 5 more power on it.
Yeah, when I got my exotic chess piece, I was like, "Oh, I can finally put a mod in here." Let me tell you guys about this chess piece. It's real nice. It's got wings.
Okay.
When you aim down scope in midair, you hover.
Yeah, I've got that.
And if you get headshots, you keep in midair. Oh my god!
Every
it's so
single
good.
warlock in the game has it. Yeah, congratulations.
It's a quest reward.
This is like this is the other one. This is like
that's a quest reward.
No, because that was in the same slot where you could get the vape helmet.
I know what you're talking about. The golden wings with the Dawn Blade. That is totally a quest reward. 100%.
Right, but this is there's a different one. There's a different one.
His is better. Just his is better.
There's a different one.
I see. Okay.
Because I know the quest one, because you choose from 3, right? There's like the helmet, the chest piece, and the other thing. It's not.
It is totally
but also
Glimmer's higher.
It's a higher level.
The power's higher.
Well, that's how it works. Like all that stuff drops at the level you're at. Like
so you can
because that quest was in like World 2 or something.
Right. So that chest, if you had gotten it then, would have been like power 110 or something.
Yeah, which was with the helmet.
But you got it later, so it dropped at a power level consistent with what you're at.
I did that quest back then. I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't understand.
There's a lot of numbers in Destiny.
Yeah, I wish that the math for a lot of stuff just got exposed on. Not necessarily drop rates, but there was something last night that I was like, man, I'd really like to know. Oh, just like, some drop rate stuff, and
or even like the stuff like hanging on to your powerful gear. Like, who would know that?
Right. There's stuff that I feel like they should explain better.
Yeah.
So that, and so I wasn't until last night when someone told me like, oh, also those powerful gear quests reset every week. It was like, okay, because I thought like, oh, well, now I'm just like fucked until I do the raid. Like, am I just like stuck at this power level until I start getting the gear out of the raid? And so with that stuff resetting, that's better. Mm-hmm. But like, there's a lot of stuff that like in a month, the people who are playing the game will know the ins and outs of that stuff, and it won't matter. But I feel like, especially on the PC where it's going to be a bunch of new players coming in, there's like a lot of stuff in this game that like should be explained better.
Yes.
And I think for new players, and for stuff that's changed from Destiny 1, like I played a lot of Destiny 1 and enjoyed a lot of it up to a point, and so I knew kind of what brand of fuckery they went for in the past with how you upgrade your gear and how you infuse it. So from going from 1 to 2 and going from like 9,000 currencies to 1, like that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see when fucking Xur shows up, how much they're going to charge for those items, because I have 200 legendary shards now.
I bet you'll be good.
And
I think you'll be good.
And
I hope you'll be good.
There's no fucking way that you can't buy a couple items with that.
Yeah. So that's what's making me wonder, because when they rolled out some.
You need those for infusing as well.
Yeah, so
right?
that's the decision, and that's something they don't communicate. I think the only reason people know that you need shards for Xur is because it was in like one of the strategy guides that leaked or something like that.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah.
Like
also, there are no other currencies, so what else would you use?
Yeah.
Like there's it used to be strange coins, and you could get those in weird ways. Yeah. Like the things they threw into this game, they've simplified a lot of stuff in ways that are smart from a gameplay perspective. But I think, again, going back to what we were saying earlier, like take away some of the mystique around it.
Yeah.
There's something about a currency called the strange
coin.
Strange
coin. What is that?
The idea that you're giving this fucking worm-faced monster strange coins for like that's
like, remember Motes of Light?
Yeah.
Like I still barely know what those did.
That stuff's cool and weird and it doesn't have as much of that anymore. It's made it a better video game.
It is mechanically better in almost every way, but it is somehow less interesting in a little bit.
Yeah. That's Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And
like the way I keep thinking about it is that they learned all the lessons they needed to learn coming out of that first game, but they also kind of like forgot some of what they knew about the things they did right.
Yeah. I feel like they also draw from Halo a little bit more in this one.
So in the campaign, some of that stuff is good. I'm sure we'll probably get into more of that tomorrow, but there are definitely some good moments in that campaign.
Yeah.
Some good set piece action stuff that the first game lacked for sure.
I like that game a lot, but I really like tons of like it also. I think it has like tons of small problems or like things that are like the way they are put into the game. You feel like you have a clear sense of like this should be better. And I can think of like multiple ways it could be better. And it is, and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm going to design the game better, but like literally like UI stuff and little things like that. You're like, man, like for a game you're calling Destiny 2, for it to have some of the same things that were weird about Destiny 1 after all this time you took to iterate on Destiny 1 with the DLC and the stuff they did along the way there, having the extra year, for Destiny 2 to not have addressed more of that stuff while also not really bringing in any new enemy, like 3 new enemies, 2 new enemies.
Some of them have new behaviors. Which is
a couple new
cool
behaviors,
see, but
like,
it's very thin in terms of the enemy stuff. Yeah.
If people were out there saying that this, like it's one of those cases where I think like because of that mechanical stuff being so similar, like the snide people that want to talk about it like it's like Destiny 1.5 or whatever, 1.75, 1.9. Like, I can see it.
It gives them some ammunition.
Yeah. I wish that there was a little more done around that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you guys know if you push the touchpad and options at the same time, it pulls up the menu that you hold option?
Yeah. You can also just hit touchpad while you're in your inventory and it'll go straight to the director.
That's the muscle memory I've been building is options to touchpad to immediately get out of an area.
Yeah.
Because holding that thing down and waiting for it to fill up.
It's just
takes a little too long.
Split second too long.
Oh, that's one really minor weird gripe I have with the game, but I can't shake it, is the varying lengths of time you need to hold the button to select or cancel
Some of that stuff got a lot longer.
Starting a patrol takes forever now.
Starting patrols and adventures is way longer than it was in the first game.
Sometimes it's 5 seconds. Sometimes it's 1 second.
Yeah. In the first game, it was a little more sensible because it was around like if you're deleting a character, if you're turning an exotic item into shards, that takes a long time because you want to be able to go, wait, no. So I don't know, were people accidentally starting patrols?
I don't know.
In the first game, and they made it way longer to address that?
In Crucible, you have to, if you want to not get auto-matched into another match, you have to hold the button for 3 seconds, but you only have like 8 seconds to hold the button. I don't know.
But I feel like if you're holding it down before the timer expires, it'll still get you out.
Okay.
But yeah, that one's a little weird.
Just a weird small gripe.
And the first game had that similar idea too of like return to orbit to get out of being matched into the next thing.
Yeah. Tons of smart stuff though. Like I've gone back to orbit maybe 3 times in 30 to 40 hours of this game because you can zip around from planet to planet. Nice.
Most of the time I went back to orbit, it was out of force of habit because like, oh right, I don't.
You do it a couple times and then you get it through your head like, oh, I can just go straight from here to here now.
Yeah. There are a lot of I think there are a lot of really great moments in that game. Not necessarily like story moments or like things I would talk about in like a best moment category, but like I've had a lot of really great times with that game over the last week.
Yes. It's a really excellent game.
And we'll be getting more into those.
Yeah, we'll get to the stuff that people would consider more spoilery.
And I hope the raid is good.
Yeah.
The raids I played in the first game, it was one of those things that you don't see a lot of these days, especially in console games, that like that style of encounter like just doesn't exist in a lot of other places anymore.
When do those drop?
Raid's out tomorrow.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm not gonna get to play it for like a week.
Don't worry though, you can play it every week for the rest of your life.
Or at least until the next expansion comes out.
Great.
I wonder if there will be a raid in the first DLC. I hope so.
I don't know.
I sincerely hope there is a raid in every DLC they put out for this game, or I will be very disappointed.
We'll see. We'll see what their strategy is. I
could be setting myself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
See. Can you guys talk about Marvel Capcom real fast before we move on?
Not entirely.
Not much?
Review embargoes like later. Like we can't talk about story mode or anything like that. But
you've been playing the versus mode a little bit, or
tiny bit. Yeah. Like maybe like a half hour last night before I crashed. That's about it. We just got it. Yeah, I got it late yesterday. So yeah, so our opinions still kind of stand from the last time we played it.
Like, because you played it at Capcom.
Yeah, the game's pretty fun. It looks good in motion, but getting some like a non-pressured time to like look at the models of those characters. Holy shit!
Yeah, and like some of the animations.
Yeah,
like the walk animations are a little.
I've seen some people have some incredibly negative things to say about the backgrounds.
Huh.
I haven't even noticed them. So I've only been in training mode and like practicing combos and stuff. So I've only seen the one lab stage, but
the brief amount that I played, they looked pretty good.
Okay.
There's a Monster Hunter level, so I'm
well, that's all it took.
It's gonna be a Monster Hunter character. Yeah.
Is it the Rathalos?
They're wearing the Rathalos armor. Yes. Okay. Yeah. They carved up a Rathalos. Faux show.
Tougher than a Rathalos.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
The game seems like it's I'm seeing some cool stuff out there. Like, a lot of people have gotten their hands on it.
This is my favorite period of a Marvel vs. Capcom release. It's the like first week where people start figuring out the broken shit, and then somebody figures out something that's way more broken than that, and it's just an arms race to who can find the cheapest team.
And this is Marvel, so like everybody's broken, right? Yeah. So it's like everybody just seems cheap as shit. It's a lot of fun. It's the Wild West.
Early word on the street is if you're looking to pick a bigger character, learn Ultron.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look.
You didn't hear it from me, but
Filipino Champ's got that Dormammu rocking already. Jesus.
I've seen some sick Thanos tech.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Scary stuff out
there.
Who
did development on this?
Capcom, as far as
internal?
Yeah.
Because who was Street Fighter 5 again?
I
can never keep track.
Effort,
it was.
I'm not entirely sure.
Like four was
Dimps, right?
Yeah.
Plus Dimps plus Capcom. It's not
right.
Okay.
And
Arika's been out of the picture for a while.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got their own thing.
I have a lot more to say about it next week.
Okay.
Gonna play some more tonight and tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah, same.
Excellent. I just was told by someone on Twitter who's listening to the podcast that this comes from Christopher. The element that's doing bonus damage in the Nightfall not constantly being on screen is a bug.
Huh.
Okay.
So I was totally wrong. They apparently did intend for that to
all right then.
to
See?
just be there. Okay. I saw people saying, because the new Nightfall just launched today.
Oh, okay.
And they changed their plans for what modifiers it would have because of the buggy stuff.
Okay.
Is my understanding. Anyway, I really want to go play more Destiny 2 right now.
Yeah. I want to beat a Nightfall tonight.
I'm fucking dying to go do those milestones.
Will you guys
and
help me do a Nightfall?
Play the new Nightfall. Yes, I will do the Nightfall. Wait, what's your power level?
I got to play some more. I'm at 240.
That's what happens.
This is
I'm at
this is
240.
the actual worst. This is actually.
But
the
I have a
actual-
bunch of Ingrams that I haven't cashed in yet, so we'll see. We'll see.
Do all your powerful quests. Then maybe we'll talk. Like it's the worst.
Maybe.
It's the worst thing about Destiny.
It is.
Is
I hate
that,
it.
But it's
that
true.
end.
I mean,
But it is
that's
true.
like
And even if I get
any
up to
game
that level,
relies
like
on that sort
they've
of
been
thing.
playing that shit, like the specific quests and stuff, umpteen million times, and I'm going in there stone cold, and I feel like I'm a weight to the group.
Jason,
That
I'll jump
sucks.
in. I'll jump in with you at any time.
We'll just fucking tie
But
cement blocks to our
that
feet
part of
and
the fun
just
of it
jump
is
in
jumping
together.
in with your friends who need who haven't had the time with you, right? Like
Yeah.
I've been playing some quests with people who are lower level with me because I had some it's fun. It's fun to be able to like hop back and feel. That's when you feel really powerful. Is when you go jump
Sure,
into your
yeah,
friend's game
yeah.
and you're like 80 light ahead of them.
And it does. It's a very good social game because like at the core of it, like once you strip away what little story there is in some of these end game encounters and stuff, like it's a really good podcast game. It's a really good we're chatting about whatever.
Yep.
I've been watching It's Always Sunny while I play the single player quest. It's great. It's
Totally. I don't mean to sound elitist about the Nightfall. It's just that's the level where it's getting so hard that like the math is just not working in your favor if you're not at the right level.
It's
like,
not
you're
you.
just you're gonna take so much damage.
the game. I know.
Yeah.
I've heard it all before.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You told me that you did it with someone who was 274 and you had trouble.
Yeah, but me and the other person were low level and had never done it before.
Yeah.
So like we were muddling.
Like
we were,
I went in and had not done it before, and I don't think Adam had done it before, but I think Kessler had done it before,
Okay.
and I was like 260.
yeah.
I want to
was-
believe Kessler has
like
done
we
it.
Kessler
were
probably done it
we were like low 240s the first time I tried it, so that was pretty,
Okay.
pretty rough.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be rough.
But,
I was like 259, 260, and then I
Yeah.
came out of that thing 268.
Yeah.
By the time we were done.
I'll get up to 260.
That's a very, very comfortable place to do it. Like probably 250 is fine. Just takes a lot of coordination.
I got all those Ingrams because I ran through it a couple. We got like halfway to 2/3 of the way through a couple times, and so I was picking up a lot of stuff.
Just in case people don't know, like I'm super positive on Destiny 2. Like I think I can't speak for you guys, but I feel like I nitpick it super hard because like ultimately Destiny done right is the best possible video game that could exist for me.
It's
like
there are great things about it.
Yeah, like I see the potential in it.
Yeah.
Just like I did with the first one, and like if
They are better at making good on more of that potential in this game than they were at any point in the first game, but only on the gameplay side.
Yes,
Whatever, like we talked about.
Yeah,
The story stuff is not as
it's not terrible, but
it's not terrible, but it's
just,
not.
It's a little more video gamey.
Yeah,
it's like it's a little more.
It's digestible, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It's just
I'm not having to look at my phone for anything.
it's a little more predictable.
But what about clan chat?
Oh shit!
What about pulling
clan
stuff
stuff?
out of the vault on the fly?
I mean,
from
I'm in a
your
clan and I
phone?
can't see the people in it. What's
Yeah,
going on?
that's
yeah,
broken. That's broken.
Okay.
Grimoire cards are terrible. Like I'm not defending that in any way.
Yeah.
Moving that stuff into the game was the right call. But
Did you do the treasure map stuff?
no, like that's another example of something that just feels like I don't need to do it now because I'm at such a like I'm 277. Why? There's no reason for me to go do that stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
That
that's
sucks.
like there's so
That
much to do.
sucks.
There's so much to do, and I got so distracted by so much of it and did it so much that I missed like swaths of the game because I leveled past it, like before I even knew what was happening.
I mean, I understand. Yeah, over leveling.
Yeah,
past
like-
certain quests.
like-
but
like-
at the same time, it just
Sometimes
seems
the
like
journey is the reward, Brad.
I guess. Like just running a route through zones, like doing public events and like picking up chests and whatever else you find along the way just turns out to be the fastest way to level in that game. And I just kept getting distracted by it because it's always there. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like there's always a public event like 90 seconds away from starting.
Right. Yeah. I
It's
did
really-
a ton of public events.
And they're fun. Like the public events are fun and they each
And
one
like
has
figuring out how
the
to do
heroic
heroic
stuff.
the
stuff.
heroic,
That's
the
a
heroic
really
modifier
neat
is like
idea.
a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Like it's so fun.
Except that now everyone knows it.
I don't know.
There's
I
one or
don't
two
know it.
cases where like you and one other guy knows what to do to trigger the heroic version, but no one else does, and it's a race of you doing the thing before they fuck up and finish it.
Like, why the fuck aren't you shooting this generator?
Yeah.
Like, we have to blow this up. We need to get the special mob.
That's a neat. It's a
neat idea.
Weird idea.
A couple of them are
cool.
really tough to get the heroic on. The weird Cabal one with the shell around it, where it goes through phases where you're taking damage inside the shell.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to be inside the shell to shoot the vents to make the heroic happen. And
That's what it. Okay,
it's
so I
hard.
didn't know that one.
I've only gotten
that makes sense.
We can't. We stopped talking about Destiny, then we started talking about another video game, and now we're talking about Destiny again.
I'm sorry. I was getting tweets just now from people going like, "Are you sure you like Destiny 2? Doesn't sound like it on the podcast." So
We can't look at live tweets.
I want to
of the
reiterate. I
podcast.
really like Destiny 2. I'm just really hard on it because
We love it so much.
it could be the greatest thing ever made.
It's yeah. I had a great time with it. I think it has a ton of little problems that like upon finishing it and then having like a day or two where there was literally no reason to like there was no reason to play it because I had seen it all.
Yeah, I mean any loot game you're going to hit that point.
It's because I played a fuck ton of it and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But also you get that time to live in it a little bit and go like, man, a lot of this stuff should be better. Like a lot of the in-game stuff telling you what to do and when. Like they've come so far with the milestone system, but it's they could do better. They could do better.
I mean that's some basic like tutorial and UI stuff that could happen, but like,
and that's the sort of stuff that a studio the size of Destiny, the size of Bungie, should have been able to address.
Sure.
But anyway,
the biggest problem with it remains that there isn't more of it. Like, I would play as much Destiny as they put out. I would pay a monthly fee if they put out content every month.
Shut up.
if they rolled out content at a clip that warranted it,
Yes, sure.
Yes.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But that's a lot more content than
They will never get
They-
there.
no,
Trust me on this. They will never get to the point where they're putting out enough content to justify that.
Yeah.
But if they get on a regular like 3-month clip of putting out DLC, like that could be okay.
We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see. All right. Let's take a break and try not to go play Destiny 2. We'll be right back.
I'm going to sit on my hands.
Star Trek is back.
Is it?
In digital form.
I've waited so long.
With Star Trek Discovery. It's a new Star Trek series.
Oh.
For the internet.
Is that something that I can discover?
You can discover it
On the internet?
On the internet.
Yeah.
With-
Where no one has gone before.
No one goes on the internet, but you can go to the United Federation of Internets and make it so
Beam me up to
with CBS All Access.
Damn it. Jim, I'm a...
Internet.
Go on.
Star Trek is one of the most iconic and influential global television franchises.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, it has been around for like 50 years. And now Star Trek Discovery is a new Star Trek series.
Warp to...
Warp over to CBS All Access to view this original series when it premieres on September 24th at 8:30.
Oh.
With new episodes streaming every Sunday. You can try CBS All Access for free right now by going to cbs.com/bombcast.
Set phasers to...
Internet. Set phasers to stream. Set phaser. I can't say it.
No.
I want to skip.
I know what you're thinking.
I'm not going to say it.
I almost said it.
Yeah.
Should I say it?
Go ahead.
We're never going to get out of this room unless I say it.
Okay, you're going to have to say it.
You say it.
Let's say it together.
Okay.
3, 2.
Set phasers to fun. Jason.
Yeah.
I know that you're ready for your federally mandated 60 seconds
For God Eater.
to talk about
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter Minute.
Monster Hunter Stories is a game on the 3DS.
All right, timer has started.
You collect monsters like Pokemon. You go into the nest and then you kill their mommy and then you steal the egg and then
so
you
it's
raise
Bambi?
them. You fatten them up and if they have the right
okay.
genes, you'll feed them to another monster like a Legombi, like you know,
Legombi,
you know the fucking rabbit bear
rabbit,
who throws snowballs and slides on ice and you can make him have a fireball and shit like that. It's fucking awesome. I've got like a new hunter armor now where I've got like a cool midriff and stuff, and I've got like bone horns and stuff and a great sword. And I got a Rathian. I got a Rathian from the mail. Amazon.
You got batteries in the mail?
No,
from Amazon?
no, a Rathian. Green. Dude.
Okay, yeah, the green rat.
Or dudette. I don't want to misgender.
Komodo dragon?
Rathian. How much time do I have?
8 seconds.
8 seconds. From Amiibo from Japan. I put it on my 3DS and I registered it. Now I got a Rathian.
Nice. 2 seconds to spare. There it is.
Yeah.
Is there any fighting in that game?
Yeah.
I thought it was a
Like turn-based
it's
RPG.
turn-based
okay.
JRPG,
It's
kind of rock, paper,
right.
scissors
Okay,
type.
okay.
It's getting
Not-
deeper, actually.
not
It's like,
standard monster. Okay.
This is Brad's Monster Hunter Minute, so
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
definitely going to do a quick look. I'm
okay.
really enjoying it.
I saw a headline yesterday that said, "What's the name of the game?"
Monster Hunter Stories.
Monster Hunter
Is the
Stories
Dark
is the best Pokemon game I've ever played. Was the headline I
It's
saw.
certainly the best that I've ever played.
So it is totally a Pokemon game.
There's a lot of those elements for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like
a lot of
fire,
collecting and stuff, and there's
ice.
fire.
That seems like a good
Psychic.
fit. Psychic,
metal.
Mhm.
And these
fairy,
guys are
cherry.
adorable. They're so
Yeah. Is it all like chibi, super deformed looking? Okay.
yeah. It's not too over the top. It's cutesy for sure.
Yeah.
So
That seems like
I
a good
like
fit.
my cool looking monsters
Yeah.
looking pretty cute sometimes.
Sure.
And this
Yeah.
fits the bill. For sure.
Cool.
I like
Excellent.
it.
Is that out?
Yeah.
Is that out this week?
Yep.
Like today?
Last week, I think.
Last week. Okay.
I'm like,
Last reason ever do you play a 3DS?
Metroid.
Metroid. Did you play any Metroid?
Well, I mean, we'll know tomorrow, right?
What?
There's a Nintendo
Oh, that's
Direct,
right. There is a Nintendo
And
Direct
they
tomorrow.
explicitly called out the 3DS.
Yeah. Maybe.
I will say there's still like a Yokai Watch game that
Yeah.
came out in Japan that hasn't come over. I wonder if it'd be something like that. And I haven't.
Yeah.
I have not looked at the list of things that are out in Japan that have not been announced for US yet.
Sure.
But maybe that'll end up being one of them.
Are we going to get to the point where you start feeling somewhat put out if they keep announcing 3DS games
As
and not Switch games?
Yeah, as a Switch owner, that feels like there could maybe be some more Switch games coming out.
I mean, there's a
Like,
decent number.
It's starting to get to that point
Like,
where it's what I talked about at launch, of like the idea of like Nintendo should be all in on Switch because they should get more people buying them. They sold them, which probably gave them a little more breathing room on the 3DS stuff if they want it. But yeah, I don't know. I would hope that they would not devote any of their own internal development resources to the 3DS from here on out.
Yeah.
That like they themselves are at least like, oh yeah, we're all in on Switch. Like we might pay someone to do a 3DS game here and there, but we're
That's fine.
busy.
Yeah.
Then
I think the main sign of that being true is saying, hey, the next Pokemon's coming out on Switch.
yeah.
Like, that's not Nintendo, but like that's a good flag for,
Yeah,
hey,
that's-
Yeah.
don't worry about that 3DS anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're moving. We get you. We're moving into that direction.
but then on the other hand, not only are there tens of millions of 3DSs out there, but they keep putting out new ones. Like they just put out a new 3DS.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
or 2DS.
You know, it's another cheaper model.
two months
To
ago.
you know, they're at a point now where they can sell to kind of various price sensitive consumers, and they've got this huge library of years
Yeah.
and years. So if there are people that don't have a 3DS yet, like
Yeah, like my
you
3DS
could-
broke and I missed out on some good games for it, so might as well pick one up,
Yeah.
a new 2DS, and
yeah, and get into it.
Yes.
There's plenty of reasons around that stuff,
Yeah.
or why you would like put more out, because the 3DS has been drying up at retail for
Yeah.
a long time last year, so they needed something new out there anyway.
Sure. What a fantastic segue into the news of the week in the world of the video games. Because the first story is about
Video
Nintendo.
games. What are they about?
Hot off the presses. Like 2 hours, 3 hours ago.
Uh huh.
Remember that NES Classic?
Yes.
They're going to make more of those. And they're going to put them back out.
the NES, not the Super
Yes.
Nintendo. Okay.
but they're also going to make more.
They're also going to make more Super NES Classics. they say.
No, I want to feel special that I got one.
Wait, did you get a
You
pre-order?
just want to
I
scalp it.
did.
You
did.
You just want to try to get paid.
I don't know why I got
Where'd
it.
you get it from?
Fuck.
Wow.
Really?
Wow, they've got them.
I forget.
Man, I didn't know they were going to sell them.
Yeah,
Jeez,
I
that's
totally
really...
forgot.
They took
where-
pre-orders. Yeah.
It was a weird, 2 a.m.
This is a weird...
Go
yeah.
pre-order this thing.
This is a weird press release because of the way they phrase some of the stuff, or the terms they put these in. They don't come out and say, hey, there will be 3 million Super NES Classics available at launch.
Right.
What they say is more units of Super NES Classic Edition will ship on its September 29th launch day in the US than were shipped of NES Classic Edition all last year. It's I don't know how many that was.
Yeah,
that doesn't
that's not
tell me a whole lot.
Like, what did you know?
Do you mean
They're
10,000 more?
trying to. There's a quote. I don't know if it's in this press release or if there were interviews that went alongside this or whatever. But there was a quote attributed to Reggie of Nintendo fame.
Oh yeah, him.
Saying like, "Hey, don't fucking pay more than retail." That was
Yes,
the literal
I did
quote.
see that.
Do not
Yeah.
fucking pay. No,
Listen up, fuckers.
listen up, motherfuckers. No, it said like, "Hey, don't pay
that
more
was-
than retail."
I think
for
that was
this
like
shit.
that was just like late last week. So
like, don't
do
be
you
a
think-
dope.
do you think he knew this announcement was coming?
No, they don't tell him anything.
Okay. He found out along with
Yeah,
everybody
he was
else.
like, "Wait, what?"
He was just yelling out the window, and some reporter happened to hear him.
No, his whole angle was like, "It's not that good. don't. It's fine. These games are old, man."
Just jump on Zofar.net and download that shit.
Yeah. They do not host ROMs.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Not sully the good name of long-running emulation sites.
Yes, you're right. That is yeah. There are no numbers in this thing. It's a bunch of relative and comparative statements like that.
Yeah.
Of like,
Uh,
let's see.
like, hey,
Do you think it's because they just don't know? Like,
I don't know.
well, they don't want to.
Somebody
Like, they
knows.
don't want to get specific because they don't want to reveal valuable
I
sales
think,
data.
Like there are people in giant companies like this who do nothing but manage supply chain. Like
See, my
somebody
theory-
knows exactly how many of those things they're going to make.
No. Nobody knows. My theory is they don't even know how it's being made. They just opened the door one day, and there was a bunch of them in a warehouse.
They found some curio boutique.
exactly.
It's like a wild-eyed Miyamoto with no
Yeah.
shirt on. That just like you turned him and he's like standing there making one by hand. He goes, "It's Mario time."
It's like, there's gonna be more.
It's like, okay, just close it. Just leave him in there. Let
stumbled-
him do his thing.
How many more? More.
They stumbled into some back alley shop in Chinatown.
It's just Miyamoto in the back of Tiger over and over again.
Every morning, the owner wakes up and there are 18 new NES Classics on the shelf. Nobody
Yeah.
knows why.
Yeah.
Yeah, no numbers in this thing, but gosh, what is it? So yeah, they're saying more SNES Classics on launch day than there were of the NES Classic all last year, and subsequent shipments arriving in stores regularly. That's all it says. So there will be more of them, but we don't know.
Okay.
We don't know how many more.
I wonder if they'll be any different. I wonder if the NES Classics, like that second shipment, if they will have made any changes to the internals around making it so you can't flash them to put more games on them and all this
yeah.
other weird hacky shit that
Yeah.
has come along. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll try to close that hole,
That is-
or if they're just like, whatever, man, we're just
Yeah.
selling plastic, we don't care.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's not like they're selling more games on this thing. So
Yeah,
once they've sold you the unit, that's
yeah,
it,
it's
right?
Sort of whatever.
They do say the SNES Classic will continue to ship through, or not through, but into 2018.
Yeah.
Originally, shipments were announced to cease at the end of this calendar year, is what this says.
I wonder if they've just found more manufacturing capacity somewhere. If they're just like, can we find another plant to make these?
I mean, it's
And
not
it just
like-
took them time to get it going because they've been busy making switches.
Maybe, but it's not an iPhone or even a Switch where like that thing is relatively
Yeah,
complicated. Like that thing is so cheap and simple. I would assume you could spin up more capacity if you wanted to. I don't know. What do I know? Yeah, I think those are the facts. Like now, the SNES Classic will ship into 2018 as opposed to
People who want one should be able to get
yeah.
one.
And the
End of
NES
story.
Classic
Like,
was
that's-
it?
Yeah.
Did they say when next year? That
Summer,
thing's
I think
coming?
is-
Was it summer?
yeah.
So next summer, the NES will be coming back out.
That's good.
There you have it. Yeah, yeah. You should be able to get one of those.
That's what they're
If you
saying.
want one.
That's what they're
Yeah.
saying. But
No, I'm saying,
yes,
on principle that you
on
should,
principle, if
on
you
principle,
want
you
one
should
of
be
those,
able to
you
go
should
to the
get
Hot Topic and like find one on an end cap.
Yeah, they're not fucking $700 light up shoes.
Yeah,
you should be able to get them.
yeah. That should just be hanging out in Target.
I want to get one.
Yeah.
Still.
Now that they're everywhere, I don't think I just
Yeah, smart. Punch out now.
don't care. Like if I bought that SNES Classic, I would probably just not plug anything into it and put it on my desk to look at because it's cool to have a tiny Super NES.
Well, then
But-
you should probably get the Japanese one because that's what
yeah,
that's what
right.
you really want to
should
look
just
at.
import one of those so I can have a tiny Super Famicom. That's
I like
even
the,
better.
I like the SNES.
I'm with you, man.
SNES
I
is
like the
fine.
boxes.
I don't
I like-
they got nothing against the way the SNES looks. Just Super
I like
Famicom looks so
angles.
much better.
Yeah, geometry.
90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Something
the
about,
best angles
something
out
about
there.
those four
Yeah.
colors next to each other. It's
Yeah.
like the red, green, blue, and yellow is just like the fruit flavors of 16-bit.
Yeah, I've got a tiny little squeezy GameCube
Yeah.
that I can put next to this stuff. It doesn't play
Does it
games.
have a handle?
But it has the handle, but there's no hole. It's all solid out to the handle. So you
How are you going to pick it up and bring it to your friend's sleepover?
You were not supposed to
well, I
do
mean, I
that.
can put it in my hand, squeeze the whole thing in my fist, and go, this is relieving stress. Thanks, fake GameCube.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody, I didn't pull this email, but speaking of old video game swag and events, somebody sent in a bunch of video of that Alcatraz Half-Life 2 event.
Oh wow, huh?
Kind of glad I didn't go to that thing.
Yeah. Speaking of old video games, this week. I think it was or late last week, it was the 40th anniversary of the Atari 2600.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
1977.
I think that would have made more
that thing
news.
was released.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a long time ago.
I bet Nolan Bushnell said something about it.
Probably.
Probably.
Seems like something you would have maybe like weighed in on.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Also, we just passed, like the Dreamcast launch 18 years ago.
Right. Yep.
Like, how's that
Dreamcast
even possible?
revoked.
So old.
And I want to say the PlayStation 1
was
was also September 9th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what, 95?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long time. Let's move on. I didn't think there would be anything really game-wise to actually talk about from this Apple thing, but then Jennifer Chen came out on stage
Yeah.
during the Apple TV segment and announced that game company's new game.
Sky.
It's called Sky. I don't know how you get the trademark for Sky at this point, but
Yeah, maybe you just get it for like only for use in video games,
Maybe.
and you're not going to enforce. I don't know. Maybe you don't get it. Maybe you trademark that game company's Sky,
Yeah, maybe.
and then hope for the best.
looks
Player
kinda,
unknown Sky, I think is
kinda
what they trademarked.
Yes. Kind of looks a lot like Journey,
But in the sky,
but in the sky. I don't know. Journey was in the sky a fair amount,
I guess,
some amount, but this seems like it's always.
you're talking about the famous Journey song, "Lucy
Yes.
in the Sky with
Yes.
Diamonds," right? Okay,
That's the one.
all right.
I love that.
I don't know. We were like running in here to do this as this was getting announced. I had barely caught any of the footage. I don't know if you guys saw more.
I looked at a little bit of it. It's like a little flying. Is it a dragon? I don't know.
It's like a little person in a cloak.
Yeah, okay. Does the cloak get longer?
I managed
chirp.
Yeah.
I managed to copy and paste the Polygon story about it as we were coming in here.
The Rathian I got, or the Rathlos I got, can fly.
Yeah.
Once I hit like level 5.
They
Then
said
I
it
can-
would.
yeah?
Yeah.
They said that Sky would be exclusive to Apple TV,
Yeah, that's the
iPad,
big. That's
and
the
iPhone.
big one. That's the big takeaway. Is that yes, this is only coming out on Apple platforms this year.
Yeah.
I believe it was this year.
There's
Right?
been a handful of games over the years that Apple has, like, they don't, you don't
Yeah.
really hear about it all that frequently, but certainly it was like Plants vs. Zombies 2, I think, was exclusive to Apple platforms for a period of time.
right.
Yes.
That Harmonix Beat Sports game,
Mhm.
which they were showing on Switch at
Oh, at
PAX.
Yeah.
I want to say that when they first announced that thing, it was,
That thing was only on the Apple TV.
but it might have also been only on the Apple TV because there was no other viable motion controller platform
Maybe.
out at the time.
Yeah.
Or until the Switch, really. So maybe that's part of it. But
Huh. This story just straight up says the game will only be available on iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV. But I'd swear during the presentation they said this year, but
I think this is at launch.
or at launch or something like that.
So
yeah. The language to
hard-
me sounded, and also like, come on, like, that thing will come out on other
Yeah.
platforms, right?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Surely.
It's weird for them to go from like, I don't know, to have this presentation where they're like, oh, 4K HDR, it's huge.
Yeah.
And also we're announcing a video game on this platform that is
Yeah.
not actually necessarily powerful enough to like really deliver on the 4K HDR for video games the way you might want. Unless it's a very visually simple game. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Also, I have heard very recently that the game market on the Apple TV is like non-existent, or it's just that the market is very dry.
Well, they did cut to someone playing the game, and they were using that same fucking abysmal Apple TV controller with the little touch thing at the top, and also, I mean, right, like, of course it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
That thing's garbage. No one's going to go buy the made for Apple TV like 360 looking controller because no games support it, so no one supports it, so no one buys the controller. So no, it's like. If they packed in a legitimate game controller with that thing, you might see some serious shit, but they're not going to do that. So whatever.
I hope it comes out on other stuff.
Sure. I
would
don't
be nice.
think I'll buy it now. I think I'll continue to not own an Apple TV.
Well, it's going to be
so
on iPhone and iPad.
I don't think I want to play a game like that on a phone or tablet.
I don't necessarily either.
Yeah.
I like Journey an awful lot.
I have my cracked iPad Air that I don't see myself upgrading anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I feel like the iPhone screen is still slightly too small for me to want to play those type, like a proper quote unquote video game on it.
What
So,
if you got an iPhone that was all screen?
No,
Okay, don't. I'm not going to either.
I don't know. I didn't see the presentation. Maybe I'll watch it and go, ooh.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know I don't know. My wife is overdue for an upgrade on her phone as hers is broken in several ways. And originally I was like, oh, well, I'll get the new phone and then give you mine. But now I'm looking at these and going like, I don't know if I care enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes. Raise your hand if you thought that Fortnite would be the first major game to integrate a
Called it.
battle royale mode.
Called it.
Me did.
Called it.
Oh, yeah?
All of us.
As
except
of,
Brad.
like,
I feel left.
Yeah, you mean as of,
I feel left out.
because I read it on Twitter this morning that
Yeah.
they were doing it.
Yeah.
You mean
Same here.
before now or before then?
Yeah, I
or-
mean before today.
Oh,
Okay.
then
I
also
yeah, no,
being-
because I feel like every week we've been in here going like, all right, is it going to be Call of Duty? Is it going to be Battlefield? Like, who's going to go for 100-player drop out of a plane mode? Somebody's going
Fortnite.
to do it. Fortnite.
Launched today.
Launched
Announced and launched today
So
in
the-
public test.
The press release here says available September 26th, but yeah, you were like, it's out in some kind of,
I played it.
it's
just
out in
now.
some kind of beta form now.
Okay, like, so fucking, how does this shit work? Okay, they've got a release date for this mode in public, like it'll launch on the 26th.
That's what this. I literally have the press release right here.
It is in public test right now
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Also, the entire game is in early access.
Yes.
That you can only access via founder. Like, how many more layers of like release dates? Like, what does that?
put
what
a
does
new-
any of this shit mean?
They put a new game in the game that's not a game yet.
yeah.
We want you to test the mode that we haven't actually thought of yet, but it's in there somehow. We haven't had
It's
the
in
idea,
there,
but it's in the game.
It's not out until the 26th, but it's in there right now.
pre
But also, the
alpha.
game itself is not out. Like, this is like a fucking time cube.
We are in pre-production. You can buy this concept art for $19.99.
But no, it's an actual thing.
No, I know, yeah, it's
you jump
playable.
out of a bus.
Yeah, it
being,
says-
like floating
This says
via balloon.
an all-new PvP mode coming to the action-building game Fortnite on September 26th.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking for an excuse to play more Fortnite, and I finally have it.
It's called Fortnite Battle Royale.
I mean,
course.
they wrote a post for the PlayStation blog, and
Yeah.
it's like Donald Mustard literally saying, "Hey, we're big fans of
Yeah,
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That's good. I mean,
we
if-
wanted to
they
see
should just own
if
that.
we could fit that into this thing." And
Yeah.
sure enough,
Yeah.
So is it just combat?
No,
Like
it
that?
says Fortnite Battle Royale drops 100 players into one giant map where their combat and building skills will be put to the
no.
test.
you can build. It's like you drop with just a pickaxe
Okay.
and no weapons. So
Isn't that like crafting and stuff? Isn't that what they like? What made PUBG kind of successful? I think.
Oh, taking out the
it's not.
crafting?
It's not
Yeah.
crafting items for. Well, I don't think because you're picking up literal ammo. You're not picking up tin cans and shit to make bullets.
Right.
You're picking up bullets. So
But
it's
don't you need
just
materials to
it's-
like build?
It's just the fort building.
Okay.
So you can break through anything in that environment just like you can in the single player. So you can
Yeah.
break down walls with your pickaxe and get wood and then build more wood shit.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's as complicated as something like King of the Kill even was
Okay.
when it was doing, with its crafting stuff, which I'm still not 100% clear on. But I don't think it's necessarily like I don't know. I played one match and that was the impression I took away from it based on the items I found before I got fucking shot to death while I was trying to pickaxe someone because I had not found a gun yet. But
It's gonna be fun.
we'll see. I don't know. When I think about the way Fortnite plays and how long things tend to stay alive when you're shooting it and just the basic flow of their combat against AI,
Yeah, it's very spongy.
I don't know how that translates over, but seems like the players are slightly less spongy.
Has there been a PvP mode in Fortnite
No.
before this? Yeah, I didn't
Is
think
it-
so.
Is it one map?
Yeah.
You mean like every match?
Yeah.
It's the same
Oh
map?
well, I only played one match, so I believe so.
Can you hear footsteps in that game? Like, there's so
Yeah,
many things
probably.
that make PUBG.
Yeah.
That if you don't have all of them, it's just gonna feel like a really cheap imitation.
I'd say based on my very limited experience, that was the kind of the takeaway I got from it. Was like, oh yeah, this approximates like what if you made some version of that experience, but it was still Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like, and like that's probably valid. But
I
I
feel
don't.
like
I don't
PUBG
think
is
it's-
one of those games that is just way, way, way more than the sum of its parts. It's like all these weird little things working together that have come together to make this experience that when you describe it to somebody who doesn't really know it, like I have a friend who's not very into games, and I was telling him about him. I told him, I'm like, you'd like this game. He's like, oh, I don't really like shooters. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. It's more of this survival game, but it's not a survival. Like,
It's more about you picking up stuff and getting shot.
yes. But like, so it's such a unique game that other games that are already a game trying to build their game to be the other game seems like none of them. I don't think any of them are going to be good.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the games that even came before Battlegrounds from the same designer, like I don't know that those hit upon the right mix of things either. So it feels like that game exists in this sweet spot of like how to manipulate tension and build it and all that stuff. Like they've got a thing to that game with how it how it creates tension, how it releases that tension.
Do you think they can fix the things that are messed up about that game now, or are they so written in stone now as part of the experience? Like just stuff like how long it takes to open doors and pick things up, or I'm trying to think of another example, like the fact that you take damage when you bail out of a moving car. Like they're adding mantling, so they're fixing like, I can't jump over this like foot high fence. Like some of those things are getting addressed, but like if that game played really well, would it still be the same game, or does it need a certain amount of jank?
I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah. I think that like the car stuff is something that they could change. I think you should take damage if you jump out of a moving car because that's how it would work.
Yeah.
Not a slow moving car. You should be able to futz around with it a little bit.
It'd be nice if you knew it was like, okay, I'm going to lose a quarter of my health if I jump out of this car. It's like there is a risk to it, but you're not just going to die.
It'd be cool if there was a rolling animation, like you could hit the ground and roll for a while and then stand up and be ready.
Sure.
And that might lead to some bad, like, oh, I rolled too far. This is terrible.
Anyone who's ever ghost ridden can tell you can get out of a slow moving vehicle without taking damage.
Yeah, you can get out, you can dance, you can get back in the car. It's fine. I guess the mantling stuff, they are looking to. They might put it into public test for a little while around November.
Ooh, that's not what I was hoping for.
Yeah. It sounds like they explained it in their most recent update. They kind of walked through like a little bit of what they're doing with the mantling stuff, and they're like, because it's a dynamic system and not something we're just like prefab building into the maps. Fucking hard to test. We're testing a lot of it. We're trying to do it right, so it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Also, they put a new town in that game.
What?
To the east, in the northeast corner, there's a town. They're putting a new town slightly to the east of that.
It's in there now, or it's happening?
I think it happened with this patch, with today's patch.
Dude, what?
Along with like they added the Mini 14 and Fog. Fog. Fog seems like the real game changer here. Because like. As we saw, you weren't there, but as you saw yesterday, range wins games, and that's the thing I'm the worst at. So we should have, if we were going to ever win, yesterday would have been the day.
Oh, no, was it close?
We were 4 of the last 10.
No.
And lost.
How many were left when the last person fell?
Like
6.
Okay. Oh, so you all died?
We all died within
5, something like
10
that.
seconds of each other.
We had a fucking bad time trying to make a hill.
Okay.
What happened was I was so used to Destiny rezzing that takes like a couple seconds that I ran back to pick somebody up and then got like 3 seconds into rezzing. I was like, oh, this is a bad idea, and got murdered.
And then I just, someone went prone, and I tried to go prone to shoot back and could not see through my scope anymore because I was prone and there was brush.
It's such a good game, man. And I love this game.
Yeah. If we were going to win.
No, yesterday was a demonstration that we have gotten better.
No, it's not, though. You know what yesterday is a demonstration of? We have not gotten any better at shooting people in the open at range, knowing where bullets are coming from.
Well, it's just something you pick up.
If we were going to pick it up.
We got two top 5 finishes.
Okay. No, one was 6. I think we were 6 and we were 5th. Yeah,
we will win.
It is possible, but I'm still bad at the thing you need to be good at to win.
Yes,
and that's in an open space shooting people with ranged weapons. Like I do really well with shotguns. I got 2 Uzi kills in that match and felt really good about it. But then it's like that realization of just like scopes win games. Like that's or being able to shoot people at medium to long range is how you win at the end.
I don't know if this is 100% true, but I kind of wish there was like a practice range.
Yeah. A practice range that shows some kind of damage numbers, like expose some of the math around headshots and armor, the damage reduction around armor. Like you
can have still targets, you can have moving targets.
Yeah. I wish that there was some way to just test the guns, because I still am not 100% clear on the differences between the assault rifles and in terms of stopping power versus, I have an impression that like the VSS being a 9mm weapon is not going to be as powerful as a proper sniper rifle and some of the other stuff. And in experience, that seems true. But it'd be nice to just be able to sit down and shoot all that shit,
visualize it,
and watch a bar drop or watch the numbers pop and just go like, okay, this does this. At this range, the bullet drop off is this.
I wonder
the Mini 14 is a new sniper weapon that they're adding that is really high muzzle velocity, lower damage, but not a lot of bullet drop off, or not as much bullet drop off as some of the other weapons. So like it might be a little easier to aim, but you're not going to get like. And I only know that because I read the sentence they wrote putting it in the game, and so it'd be cool. It'd be really cool to be able to test that stuff out and get better at it.
Do you think? I wonder if they want to give people that kind of access, or if like is that just an oversight that there's no firing range, or if they want people to, if they want that knowledge to be like slightly forbidden.
Well, I think that's knowledge.
Something you accrue very
that's
slowly.
knowledge that you could get from playing the game a ton.
Well, that's what I mean because you're only ever going to have like maybe 2-3 good combat encounters per match, and they're so high stakes and tense that it's kind of hard to like learn from them.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of opportunities for learning in the game itself, I guess is what I'm getting.
And I think the numbers itself, you can. I'm sure someone has broken down like this gun does this damage at this range, and this is the drop off ratio, whatever it is. I'm sure that math you could go look at. Like that has to be out there by now.
I guess enough people with access to custom games and stuff like that they could set up. They could set up like a really slow circle and test lab scenario if you really wanted to
try to really do it. Yeah, you could do that work. It would just be nice if that was something that you could just kind of experience for yourself.
I agree. I wonder.
I think that's the hump that that could be the thing that brings this from 1 million concurrent players to 5 or something. Is like exposing a little bit more of that to people earlier. Because you still have to learn how to shoot well. You still have to learn how to like manage your shit in a hot situation. Like that to me should be the core thing you're trying to pick up. Is like all right, I'm getting shot at. We need to deal with this right fucking now. I don't have time to go find another fucking gun. Like, I need to turn and fire and handle it.
Level 2 helmet?
Yeah. Like, we have to fucking deal with this situation. And that, to me, is the exciting part, is getting better at it to the point where you stay a little bit cooler in those situations.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I don't know if I could ever get to that point, though. I feel like it's just like the like tense feeling in your stomach is just, that's just a gut.
There were a couple times yesterday that I had that feeling of just like, I'm going to ice cold walk out here and like, we were all holed up in one house and there was a guy coming around the side. I'm like, I'm going to switch to this Uzi, walk out this door and murder this person. And then I did it. And then another one came around the corner and I took him down too. And that was that. And it was like, it felt surgical in the way that as surgical as you can be with a fucking full automatic Uzi, but like in the way that like, I feel like I wish I was with these more ranged encounters. So that's why fog is really awesome. Because fog will nullify the advantage of scopes and ranged weapons because you won't be able to have that visibility is too low.
Was it in yesterday or
it went in today's patch?
You haven't tried it yet.
I have not.
Do we know? I guess I assume it's random.
It is random, and it is. They said it's going to happen a little more often at the moment because they're testing it out, but their goal is for it to be fairly rare. And yeah, I would really like to see how that stuff goes. And if you end up with like situations where like, oh, I'm in the middle of this open field, but a shotgun is still viable because we can't see each other at all.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
That sounds really neat.
Yeah.
I would like to see how those games go. That sounds cool.
That's exciting. That is an interesting question with the concurrent players because I didn't put it in like news officially, but what was the milestone? They hit 1 million concurrents. Like that was the big deal.
Yeah.
So what's the all-time Dota record? Like 1.2?
Yeah, it's just over, not just over, but a bit over.
So like the current benchmark is like 1.1, 1.2 million for any game ever for concurrence. So the question is
that day that they hit 1 million, Dota was at 750K.
Right, but I'm just saying like no game has ever gone higher than that. So I wonder
I bet
what the
League
ceiling.
Probably no game on Steam has gone higher than that.
So that we have like good stats for.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the ceiling is on this.
Yeah.
If we start talking in terms of 2 or 3 million people at a time playing this thing,
right,
at some point,
and they've got charts for they're bringing more servers online. They want to do first-person servers more for China, more like the Chinese growth of the game apparently is outpacing the rest of the world.
Wow. And that would not be reflected on Steam.
It
right?
is, yeah.
Oh, is it distributed on Steam over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's a very big game.
Yeah, sure is.
They put out a press release today that actually is not necessarily newsworthy because it's not that big of a deal. But like, there's a sentence in here that I think is like really crazy. So it's the announcement is that they're doing positional audio for voice chat. So like in world 3D stuff. and they're doing it's some middleware tech or whatever they're integrating into the game.
Vivox.
Yeah, Vivox.
Okay.
Yes, and whatever. Like I think 3D positional audio is really cool, except for the part where no one has a mic that sounds like someone talking in the real world.
Yeah.
So it always sounds like a speaker 20 yards away, like a drive-in theater speaker or something shitty, and it never works out quite right. There's a sentence in here. They've got a quote here, or it's not even a quote. It's just part of the release that is a really bad justification for this, given their rules. PUBG players are able to interact and hear other competitors as if they were next to them, allowing them to meet rivals, forge alliances, and hunt each other. All vital tools in the high-stakes arena of Battle Royale. So in non-squad games, forging an alliance with another player is strictly against their rules.
It's in their like
ban-
10 commandments.
It's like a bannable offense, right?
That is like not something you are to do. So the idea that this made its way into a press release for the game seems fucking crazy.
Somebody did not stay on message.
But also you wonder, like, is that something they're looking to change?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, hey, in Battle Royale, alliances were formed.
Yeah, in the movie, yes, definitely alliances were formed, and that was like a key. Like, if they could get the communication down right, I think that's a really interesting.
I would be
thing.
totally down for that. But
Like
I mean,
a social aspect of the game that's almost like fucking Velvet Sundown in some weird way.
That might. I wonder if they're trying to get more people to opt into the in-world voice chat because
Why?
nobody fucking uses it. Right now.
That seems like a weird thing to even use resources on,
Yeah.
considering the number of external tools. Like the quality of Discord is such that if you're playing with other players, if you're not playing solo, like those tools are great for talking.
Maybe
to
I don't
other
know.
players.
Maybe they want it to be so you can shout at the people you're shooting at.
Yeah, or if you're playing on console where those tools aren't integrated as tightly.
Yeah,
maybe.
I want to just drive by people and scream at them.
Yeah, like I think that's cool, except for the reality of like all the voice chat I've ever heard coming out of that game has been something I don't want to hear.
Yep. Yeah, I had one experience with the lobby in that game and then muted voice chat after that.
Yeah,
it's like nope, I'm good. Don't need to hear that again.
Yeah. It's like if 100 PewDiePies dropped onto an island almost.
Yeah,
that I'd play.
Man, he sure stepped in it again this week.
That old PewDiePie. Yeah.
Knucklehead. No, I don't know.
It's almost like there's a pattern of behavior.
Yeah,
here.
right. Totally. I don't know. I frequently go back and forth on talking about like streamer issues or whatever because like on some abstract level, those people are kind of our competition and like it could come off as glass houses and throwing stones. But on the other hand, I don't know that any of us has ever dropped a racial epithet in front of tens of millions of people. So
Not lately,
I think we're probably buttoned up.
Yeah.
On that one.
20th birthday. No, I'm good.
Go on.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good.
We'll talk about that stuff.
I think that it's he apologized, I guess, for that.
He
stuff,
put out an apology this morning.
That I didn't see.
So yeah, he was playing Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
He let the N-word go, and you could tell he immediately realized what he did was not something he should have done, and started like trying to draw away attention from it. But at that point, it was too late. And I mean, this comes in context of him, paying. What was it? The Fiverr thing of like paying children to hold signs that say Jews must die.
Death all Jews.
Death to
yeah.
Jews.
I mean, that's the stuff that got him dropped from his deal with Disney and YouTube.
So
and it was a lot more than that. Like he had repeatedly been using Nazi imagery in his videos for
which
for
then
months.
he tried to kind of say that was in context. The people that watch his videos know he's kidding, and like this stuff that you're just like, that's a bad response.
If it happens once, it's bad. If there's a pattern of it, it's a problem.
Right. With the specific stuff he went out of his way to use and then try to defend last time this stuff all happened, then at that point it was bad on its own. Terrible.
I am of the mind firmly that there are periods of history that are beyond being joked about, like flat out, like fuck that. Personally,
I think I used to not think that way. I used to not. I do now. As times have changed,
and there are a lot of them. Actually, it turns out.
Yeah, as it turns out. Yeah. And so I think that's a pretty bad defense for the stuff that he had done previously that got him dropped from these business deals. And then you have this happen, and you're like, well, like he's just that guy, I guess. Like that's that's that. Like he apologized, and I haven't seen the quality of the apology, which is
it's more than I expected.
Yeah,
it's relatively contrite.
So he says in the video. So a lot of people were like, "Why is this a big deal?" Like he just said a word, kind of, he said the thing that came to mind that he was just thinking the worst word he could say. But there was a really good thread by Austin Walker about like why this is a problem, right? Like why is this word in particular the one that comes to your mind as being
right?
Like A, something that's bad, B, something you can go to and you use to like call in, because he said like what a blank about in reference to another player, I assume.
Yeah.
Like,
the point there is like what exactly to you does that word embody?
He corrected it by then saying like, oh, that guy's an asshole.
Yes,
like, okay,
exactly,
well, wait a minute.
exactly.
So
Like,
you're
okay,
tying those two words
So
together.
those things are synonymous to you. Okay.
Just kind of digging it deeper at that point. Yeah, we ran into a case of this some years back.
I was like about to Google that blog post that Ryan posted.
That started circulating on Twitter.
And
that thing, I was in that video.
Yeah.
Like I was there.
When he said a homophobic slur.
That was a rough moment.
That then I have seen that dude make some fucking mistakes over the years.
Sure.
That was the one that definitely... And not along those lines. No. In life. And that was the one where he was most immediately like, what the fuck did I just do? How did that even happen?
Yeah.
Like the way he immediately, when we finished that up and he spent a lot of time apologizing to us individually.
Yeah. He was mortified.
And then, working on his apology and like, not, well, like apologizing, like realizing that he had made a fucking profound mistake.
Yeah.
Recognizing why people would be offended, not necessarily offended, but why this is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the big part about the apology that a lot of people don't hit when they apologize is they'll say sorry blank, but not like sorry and I will try to share your point of view going forward. I will try and like work personally to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen again, and like maybe calling it out once in a while when you see it in the world. Like,
I maybe unintentionally, he in that blog post, like there's a line that is the most like succinct rejection of the idea that like, oh, it was just a joke, or it, like he says context is meaningless because that word comes with too much of its own hurtful baggage to ever possibly justify. Like that is the beginning and the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
Of what Ryan said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that applies to numerous situations.
But that's the same. Context is the thing that PewDiePie tried to use.
That's what I'm saying.
The other stuff.
Like that heated gaming moment.
It's not a valid justification.
I think that there's, yeah. Anyway, I lost what I was going to say.
But then, like,
I think. Well, no, sorry. I think that there's like there are two ways to respond to criticism, right? Or basically, if someone comes at you and says like, "Hey, this thing you did, I think is uncool," like, you can either try to understand where they're coming from and try to like grow a little bit as a person, hopefully, and see why someone might think that, or you can take it in a very defensive way and try to explain why you're in the right on this situation, and why what you did is not so bad, and words are just all those defenses of this stuff are just so close-minded and crazy in today's world, especially where we have such immediate and direct contact to so many different people and so many different points of view. I think to try to like hold on to this weird closed-minded thing and try to say like, oh, I didn't mean it's fine, because the way I said it, I was joking. And
to be fair, he didn't say that.
No,
like in the video,
it sounds like the apology
video that like that there was no excuse for what he said.
Yeah,
like he's not.
But the stuff in the past,
yes.
A lot of the stuff he said around that stuff was.
Well, hopefully this means he's growing.
Yeah, one would hope.
Yeah,
and there's people make mistakes. I don't want to give this guy like a break because I think he's established kind of a pattern. But like all you can hope is that people learn from their fucking mistakes and become better people. And maybe this guy will get there. I don't.
And I think him issuing this video apology is very important in the context of he has tons of younger fans.
Yeah.
And this sends the message like, hey, sometimes you need to apologize. Like sometimes you fuck up and you need to rein it in a little bit.
I hope that he is thinking about why this is a problem, and that it isn't just like, oh, I got to manage my brand.
Yeah. But like that is his life, right? So like, it's hard to separate it at a point, and like
it's very intermingled.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we get that a little bit. I know some of that. I think he is at some weirder scale, but there's an intermingling of who you are and your brand, and then the brand, and then the corporation that owns the brand. In our case, like it's a weird layered thing.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, he's at a scale where there is a level of social responsibility that comes with having the ear of that many millions of people.
I would hope so. I would hope so. I think that we went through our sports phase of people saying I'm not a role model, and Eazy-E saying the same thing, and, but at some point, and that's I think how I felt to a certain extent for a lot of years was just like people shouldn't live like me. I'm not trying to say be like me, regardless if you think I'm good or bad or whatever.
Do not play 40 hours of Destiny in 5 days.
Not play 40 hours of Destiny in 5 days.
It's not a good way. It's not a healthy way to live.
Yeah, space it out over 6 days, like us,
like a sane person. It's become an even more complicated issue, I think, because of Campo Santo.
Then we start getting to businessy aspects of this thing that we may be somewhat out of our depths in trying to suss out.
Here and there, for sure. I'm not a lawyer.
But are they the only developer, or has anybody else followed suit?
That's the only one I saw. I don't know if anyone else has done it. But
they took the step of saying, all right, we've had enough. We don't want this guy making money on our video games anymore. We are going to DMCA his stuff.
Issue takedowns.
Involving our stuff.
Yeah, so he had Firewatch videos up that are now not on YouTube
So
anymore.
are they gone?
I saw it looked like they were gone. Yeah.
Okay.
YouTube is legally obligated
Okay.
to respond to a DMCA, regardless of it's not like a go through the court thing.
Okay,
it's
I
like
didn't know
the
if
way
there was
YouTube works and all this other stuff. Like that gets filed, the video goes away.
Some adjudication that takes place.
There can then be some after the fact, like actually I think you're wrong and this is fair use, or whatever it ends up being.
There's got to be a system there for like false DMCA stuff.
Yes, and I think that the YouTube system for around reporting and a lot of stuff is really broken in a lot of ways, and YouTube stuff has been very hot lately because of some content creators not making ad money anymore. Like
the demonetization of
like
violent video games and
I think that YouTube has not been super clear on where the line is on that stuff in a way that they shouldn't be. But I saw a screenshot yesterday that it looked like advertisers on YouTube could opt out of like a few different types of videos, and one of the checkboxes just said games. And the idea was like, look at like what does this say about the culture in its current form? That like this is something that is like a top level checkbox, and that's a bummer. The Campo Santo stuff I think is a pretty extreme step.
Yeah, it's not a perfect solution.
I see why they would feel that way.
Yeah.
I think it also pushes us one step closer to the ultimate fight that will determine a lot about what is and isn't legal when it comes to putting up footage of video games or movies or music and for criticism, for the purposes of criticism or what have you, or let's play culture. The idea of playing through an entire game on the internet is that, you saw with Atlas try to clamp down on Persona 5 streaming in a very soft way. And I don't know that I necessarily heard about them like actually forcing that policy as much as they said they would. After the fact, but maybe they did, and I just didn't notice. But like,
I don't know how many people violated it in the first place, though.
I mean, there were like entire game playthroughs up on YouTube days after.
Oh, okay. Exactly. So everybody violated.
There was definitely
nobody cared.
Yeah, people were like, whatever, come at me. But eventually, the come at me approach is going to result in someone saying, okay. And this thing will go to court.
The right set of circumstances will align when someone is that mad or crazy. You have two people that refuse to back down, and they go for it. A big enough company will have a big enough beef that they will take it to,
or a small enough company that won't let it go, that just has the legal resources to make it happen, or it doesn't have to be. It's not necessarily going to be EA. I used to think it would be. but no. And someone's going to eventually push this to court and create a precedent. And once a legal precedent is set, everything will change.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of people making a living on YouTube will be at risk. The idea of, like, you will have to probably be buttoned up a lot more about your fair use arguments in terms of, like, okay, we're not just putting up cutscenes anymore. We're not putting up, here's a compilation of cutscenes that we're riding to 4 million views on Facebook or whatever the fuck. Yeah. That will be gone.
We're not going to repost every movie trailer that comes out.
Yeah. Or that will be gone unless you are then suddenly large enough or have the time to go secure permission every step of the way.
Yeah.
To make sure that that's something you can do. And you know, we've had threats early on around, like, fair use, what is and what isn't, and stuff like that. Never stuff that actually, we had a lawyer contact us with a cease and desist over a quick look once.
Yeah. To be fair, that was very early.
It was very early on.
That was before.
And it was very dumb. And it was very, very dumb.
Yes, it was.
We should put the Lost and Damned quick look back up, I think, actually, at this point. Like, enough time has passed. Like what, you know.
But, you know, that was before anybody was doing any of this stuff on, like, you know,
right.
YouTube was not even allowing, like
more than 10 minutes
hour long
or whatever
videos of video games at that point.
Yeah, and so
nobody knew what they were
think
doing.
that, like, this is a really dangerous way to kick off a lot of those conversations, is for, and it's happened in the past. Like, people have like DMCA'd coverage of their game that they didn't agree with. Or issued copyright strikes with YouTube and stuff, like this guy is giving a bad review. You know, like Jim Sterling has been through the ringer on that stuff multiple times. And you know, this stuff has been, like, kind of fell by the wayside or kind of fell to the background a lot. It was something that I think around the release of the PS4 we thought about a lot more, because the launch PS4 didn't let you disable HDCP. So it became that extra level of, like, oh, actually breaking encryption is a well-known DMCA violation. So are we breaking the law by capturing any PS4 footage?
That's right. Yeah.
And there were some outlets that were freaking the fuck out
that's
about
right.
that.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
People were like, I don't get why the press is having meltdowns, or certain members of the press are having meltdowns on Twitter about the PS4 launch and all this other stuff. But it's like, that's why.
It's because we're all part of companies big enough to get to have problems, to have legal problems.
It's because someone had lawyers going, don't do it.
If the copyright holders want to make an issue out of it, they can.
Yeah, and no one did.
Yeah.
And it's been this very, I wouldn't even call it a Cold War, but it's been this, like, this thing that's kind of always there, that has never been fully addressed.
I mean, the thing is, the game makers realize the utility of letting people make those videos because it's good for their bottom line. So they said, let's do it.
And you've had some people be like, oh, well, we you know, someone streamed our very short story-driven game, and we think that hurts sales. And I think that's a valid conversation to have. And I don't know, I don't think it should be the Wild West. Everyone streams whatever. But I think that the opposite of just, like, having to be very buttoned up by fair use, which has not been tested in court as much as it needs to be, as I understand it. And maybe I'm wrong, but, like, fair use is more of an idea at this point than a hard set of rules.
Yeah.
And, you know, fair use is for, like, oh, you are issuing criticism on this thing. You have things to say about it. It's not we're cracking jokes while playing a video game, which is what a lot of the game stuff on YouTube and Twitch and all this other stuff is. So yeah, there are whole businesses built around the idea that this stuff has not been locked down and codified and is just kind of in this free form area. And this moment, and I don't necessarily fault Campo Santo for taking this step. You know, they're standing by what they believe in, and I can live with that. I think that's fine.
Yeah, and I want to say I saw them admitting, like, it's not a perfect solution.
It's definitely not.
Kind of, which it's not, but it's kind of what they've got.
And maybe it is a one-off thing, but I it's one more example of just, like, this thing is, like, all this stuff is very tenuous for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And someday that will change. And I don't know how it'll go. Because I had to spend some time thinking about fair use stuff when we were getting into longer and longer videos and all this other stuff. And, like, okay, well, you know, like, we're criticizing elements of the game along the way. Like, you know, we're generally talking about the game and
what's the term? Transformative work.
Transformative work. Yeah. Which that's a weird argument to make, I think, around talking over a video game. But I think in some cases you definitely can. It's remix culture. It's what's legal. It's what's not. That stuff got established in music pretty hard. But other places it's way fuzzier. So anyway, whatever. I not to take too much more time with the business end of this stuff, but it is chilling to see that happen. Even if I don't necessarily disagree on some level with what they did. Like at the same time, you look at this.
Not every company is going to be as level-headed. Not every company is going to have as big of a moral. Like sometimes it'll be a business decision.
Yeah, it is not in any way a cut and dried scenario where you can just look at it and go like, okay, they're right and they're wrong. Like there are
this will get nasty at some point.
There are a lot of facets.
I feel like we've
part of
anyone looking at this for enough time has known that this is going to get real crazy at some point. It's just a matter of when. And you look at this and go like, I feel like we're a little bit closer to the jumping off point.
We need to start my new idea. We recreate the video games in live action, and that way it's our property. And then we do commentary over that.
Okay. Sold.
All right.
Video game pantomime.
How's your Mario?
It's a great.
We're set. We'll be fine. Yeah. It's a rough situation all around. Let's hope he takes it to heart this time.
Yeah, that's ultimately like let's hope that guy learned some stuff about himself and the world.
Again, that video he posted today is way different than the last time this happened 6 months ago.
But again, it happened 6 months ago.
Yes, I know. Remember the Miiverse?
Oh yeah.
Kinda.
I know it's already fading
Yeah.
from. There's an engineer out there who is launching a collaborative effort to archive all of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo had said, they'll like, if you put in a request, we'll send you a zip file with your posts from the Miiverse in it.
Yeah.
But this guy, his name's Tim Miller. He did an interview with Vice Motherboard. I also saw this on Kotaku. Like, there's just there's a GitHub repo for this thing. Like, it's around.
And so is it just like, is it distributed? Like everyone needs to download the client and run it, and then it just scrapes different parts of the site?
I think so. I didn't dig into it enough. I'm trying to find the name of it, actually. I don't know if he has a formal name for what this effort is called yet.
Uverse.
That's
Rverse.
Reverse.
Weverse? Archive team?
That's bad.
I think.
Is it part of the?
Maybe is what he's calling it.
Is this part of like the was it text files or like the Jason Scott stuff, archive.org?
Oh, I don't know
stuff.
Maybe
it might be part of that.
Maybe. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of what you think it is. He is attempting to scrape every bit of the Miiverse.
Yeah.
Compile all of that
the
data.
dirtiest bits.
Yeah, that's right. Is that stuff all on the website? That's kind of what I'm getting from this. You can, 100% of the Miiverse data was available on the website.
You could browse it online.
Yeah, so
via the web.
Yeah, discussion boards, drawings, other areas, whatever that meant.
Ooh.
So yeah, that stuff's going on. Tim Miller's that guy's name. I guess if you have engineering expertise, they're looking for it to help out with this. The thing I don't see in here is, wouldn't this be a race against time? Like, this thing's going away in November, right?
A lot of these efforts to very quickly, like people tried to archive all of GeoCities at one point. These things are always a race against time.
So potentially they've only got a couple months to get this thing done. So I guess Google that and pitch in if you can.
You'd like to, it would be cool if Nintendo was just like, actually, we'll send it to you. Here you go.
That would be nice.
That would be cool.
I don't know.
They'll never do it.
That's a bit much for Nintendo, I think.
No, they'd never do it. Or if they did, it'd be like, all right, launch the Switch Online app, and then...
Yeah. Lastly, they're putting LA Noire back out.
On the Switch.
On everything.
Yeah.
On the Switch, on PS4 and Xbox One, on the Vive.
Yeah, it's not the full game.
It's a subset on the Vive. It's only 7 cases.
Coming to the Ouya?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm working on that one.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
Those are all new cases, all
right.
original.
Yeah, that's right. Wait till you see what I got.
Yeah, the facial capture is really gonna
you have to finally
blow your
kill
mind.
Dan Reichert's character in that.
Yeah, in VR Dan Reichert.
Did he have lines?
I don't know.
Or was it just the face model?
I just ran him over.
I think the character spoke, but it wasn't his
is he
voice.
just like a world NPC?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I
think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's gonna have Switchy stuff on the Switch, a Joy-Con mode, whatever that means, and touchscreen stuff.
Speaking of murders on the Switch,
yes,
JB Harold Murder Club is also out on the Switch in Japan. It was a CD-ROM. It was one of the first CD-ROM games.
Yeah.
It came out on the TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah. Wasn't that like probably on the FM Towns or something like that?
Yeah, almost definitely. And they did a reboot of it relatively recently, and
Wait,
that
what?
reboot is now you can buy it on the Japanese eShop
that's
for
weird.
like $8.
That's super weird.
What kind of game is it?
It's like a murder mystery adventure game. Like you're hitting menus and seeing people's faces pop up, and
Sherlock Holmesy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
and the CD versions of the game had
Fuck LA Noir.
like dialogue. Exactly, real people talking. What the fuck more do you want?
Who needs fake real people when you can have real people?
Mm-hmm. They're way more real than the fake people.
That's true. They were shot with the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them a gun.
Yeah. Just because they want it to be that real.
Right.
They're saying this thing will have new lighting and will run at 4K on PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. LA Noir, the VR case files for Vive will have 7 of the cases from the game in it, rebuilt specifically for virtual reality.
How do you think the facial animation in that game will look after this much time has passed?
I don't know. In my memory, it's still the best facial animation I have ever seen, but I would have to go back and look at it again to say for sure. I
probably at least all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it having an uncanny lifelike quality to it that I have never seen surpassed. Like everything else just looks like a really well animated computer face, right? And there were times when you could just forget that
whole time I'm like, this is the fucker from Mad Men. It's that Mad Men guy.
That's right. He was in that game.
Yeah.
Was he you? Was that your character?
Yeah, he's the main guy.
He was.
He's the guy who lost the eye in Mad Men.
Oh, I never got that far.
Oh, spoilers. The blonde, like kind of preppier.
Right, that guy. He was like kind of a bit player.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah. I like that game a lot more than some people.
I should finish it.
I think.
I only got.
I really enjoyed
the
that
first
game.
disc.
I would totally play that game again. I wonder how it's going to look.
Like all good interactive adventure games, it's multiple discs.
Yes.
Do you think that this could be a precursor to Red Dead coming out on other platforms?
I sure hope so.
They've got Red Dead 2 coming.
Maybe it's too late for that.
I don't know that Red Dead 1.
Is it too late?
Unless they're pushing Red Dead 2 back again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That game carries enough weight where, if it's sold as like a precursor or just like some hype for 2.
Or like a bundle with that Halloween DLC.
Undead Nightmare.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's one of the best DLCs ever made.
Seriously.
Yeah, because like LA Noir had been out on PC for fucking ages, like years.
Yeah.
So that already happened. But like to this day, I see people port begging Red Dead PC. I'm not holding my breath. All right, emails. Let's read them. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is where they were sent.
Here's the emails coming to you.
That's good.
Online.
No.
Wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Little duet.
You know what? I pulled it. Hang on. Should we just
Do I need to start it over?
maybe? Is that difficult? Somebody wrote in last week that I didn't.
Okay, email.
Here's an email. Here's an email from last week. Oh wait, that was too fast. Dave from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, wrote in last week and said,
No.
He said the Bombcast email music already has lyrics,
Oh, ready?
and you say them every week, but you've never sung them before.
Okay.
Try it now.
Okay, here we go. Wait.
Oh God, I wasn't ready.
Well, God damn it!
Bombcast.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com. Yeah, does that work? Okay. It lines up, right?
Sure.
There you go. There's your theme song. That was better in my head.
All right. Oh, that sounded real good.
It sounded really good.
Okay.
It sounded really good.
Wow. I think that sounded really good.
Hey,
Now
that
that's
sounded
what I
really good.
call
How did that sound?
Emails.
Really good.
All right. This week's
Real
emails.
good.
Holy shit.
Man,
For
that sounded-
emails.
That sounded good.
Yeah.
Wow. Finally. Eddie from Torrance, California wrote in. Where's Torrance?
Don't go to Court and
On the
Torrance.
internet.
Oh. Is that like Fresno?
Is
that like how you don't go to Fresno?
It's like North LA.
Or is
it
it
north?
is
Oh,
that a
it's south.
different don't go there than is it
Nah,
the same kind of thing?
No, not the same kind of thing.
Okay. Wait,
Just delete it after you get the file.
Tecmo used to be in Torrance?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
That's where
Why
they
I
had the
knew
Super
that.
Bowl.
Tecmo's U.S. office, I believe, was in Torrance.
That's why I knew what Torrance was. Been doing this a while.
Be sure to seed, everybody.
Eddie says, just saw a report on CBS, America's most watched network, about how tweens are an untapped demographic when it comes to podcasts.
Try to tap them tweens. Go
What
for
are what are your plans to attract more tweens to your podcast and or website?
You just heard it.
Yep.
No, I don't know. What? I don't know. What?
Add more
Well,
hashtags.
I think unfortunately we have to get rid of Jason because he's the only parent here.
That's true.
And so that way we can market ourselves as a no parents zone.
Right.
No dads here.
Yeah.
That's right.
What does that say for Vinny though?
He's not on the Bombcast.
That's true. That's true.
They got their whole other thing over
Yeah.
there. They're never gonna get any tweens.
They're never gonna get rid of Vinny.
No, they don't even know what tweens are.
Yeah.
I can't be a father figure to the tweens or something.
Well, you are like you could definitely be a cool dad.
Maybe
Okay.
How do you feel about buying tweens liquor?
I do it regularly.
Great.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm cool with it if they're cool with it. If they drink it at my place and don't go anywhere. Don't
I would
drive.
rather
Give me
have
the
them here
keys.
where I can keep a look on
Right.
them than have them out there getting up
Yeah.
to the
Who
devil's
knows
business.
what they're doing out there?
Buzzballs for everyone.
I drank Buzzballs recently.
How recently?
Let's say this calendar year, sometime in the summer months.
Yeah, I
Late
drank
spring,
mine-
early summer.
my first and last Buzzball last year.
What is a buzzball?
They're little orbs with a pop top, and they're just like you can see them next to the register at a 7-Eleven maybe or a similar establishment. And yeah, they're just like are they malt liquor?
They're pre-mixed drinks in some
Oh,
cases.
weird.
It's like
Like a cocktail in a ball?
yeah, you know, like those club, the little cans of club where it's like
Yeah.
censored on the beach because they don't want to write
Yes.
sex on their can.
Uh-huh.
It's
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's in a ball.
except in a little ball.
Okay.
And yeah, it might be like a shitty malt beverage
I believe
recreation of
it's-
it because
yeah.
it sure tasted like shit.
Good
So
to
that's
know.
how Buzzballs.
All right.
All right.
Ply them with alcohol.
Buzz balls, party balls.
That's your answer.
Pony keg for junior high. Don't drink. Just don't. I mean, I was gonna say don't drink if
Drinking's
you're underage,
bad.
but just don't.
Drinking's bad.
Just don't.
I drank over the weekend and then I felt bad the next
See,
day.
I haven't had a drink since PAX. I lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
I also haven't had Buffalo Wild Wings, so
Oh, wow.
maybe there's a correlation there. I
Yeah,
don't know.
sure.
You could go for a Bahama Mama.
I
right now,
actually
though,
could though.
honestly.
It sounds
Like
good. Somebody was tweeting about this morning. It looks
What's
really good.
what's in the Bahama?
It's like
Bahama Mama is like it's
Coke,
rum and
Pineapple-y rum drink.
It's what's that?
coconut rum
Coconut.
and
Not Bailey's. What's the Bacardi? It's a Bacardi rum with like coconut and fruit juice, like orange and grenadine.
yeah, a little
Okay.
grenadine in there.
Like an umbrella drink?
yeah,
That sounds pretty
yeah.
good.
It's very
In a pint
tasty.
glass.
Okay. Ooh, that sounds like a lot.
Surprisingly, well, yeah, a little
it goes down
stronger than you think,
smooth.
but it goes down ultra smooth. So
Okay.
Much more smooth than a Buzzball.
yeah,
It's a beach drink.
Do they have those in a Buzzball?
If they did, I'd be pro Buzzball.
it's a BYOBB. Gotcha. You got to bring your own Buzzball and fill it up with the Bahama Mamas.
Matt writes in about shitty, worthless video game systems.
There are none.
Oh, well, all right. Moving on then.
They all have value.
Well, I'll read his question. Even though you've already answered it. I was recently watching a YouTube video where someone sarcastically said the Sega CD was such an amazing piece of technology. And it got me thinking. Were or are there pieces of video game hardware that didn't really benefit the evolution of video games? Off the top of my head, I would think the 32X was worthless, and the Philips CDI didn't really help much, but I'm curious to know what you all think. I know over the course of decades, there was plenty of hot garbage that was released, but obviously everyone was trying to make a few bucks, so what hardware was totally worthless to put out?
I think even the ones that didn't do well were probably pretty good learning experiences
Sure.
for the industry at large.
Okay.
The CDI
Yeah.
was bad. You knew that going in. You looked at it, you were like, this is like, but they were also selling it as like, it'll run educational bullshit.
Yeah.
You can get it for your kids for $1,200.
I was going to say, that thing was
a
a special frothy mix of
Yeah.
like horrible and insanely expensive.
yeah, and you know the games were bad, but
Yeah.
it was meant to be a multimedia device back when people thought that might be something people might want.
Yeah.
The 32X, that was a pretty good version of Star Wars Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the 32X was a misstep in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It was an interesting experiment, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Can you, in fact, like it's almost a weird precursor to stuff like the PS4 Pro in a way?
Yeah, for sure. Like this kind of
Except-
half-step thing
yeah.
of like, hey, here's a more powerful thing that, but
Bolts
that
onto your
split the
thing.
user base in a have-nots to where like there were games that just wouldn't work
Yeah.
if you didn't have a 32X.
Do you remember how much the thing was?
I want to say it was like $249 or something, but 200. I don't know.
Dude, that's the price of a new console.
That's just like, but no, but it was years after the release of those consoles, so those consoles weren't $249.
I know, but it wasn't
either.
as good as like what year did that thing come out?
Let's say 92, 91.
Oh, wait, really?
The Sega CD. Well, no, the Sega CD was 93.
32.
So it would have been 94-ish, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. November 94.
And how much was it? And does it say?
Oh gosh, I don't know if Wikipedia's got 159.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's not as bad.
Yeah.
And then what was going on in 94? Saturn was
out in Japan and coming here, or just about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess in the context of the Saturn being $400, like 160, maybe not too bad for a.
But the software support was shit.
Yeah.
You know, like there were a couple of games on it. Like I got a 32X when it came out, and like I got it and I brought it home and hooked it all up and rigged up this nonsense thing. I was like, oh, these games are okay.
Wait, was it hard to install? I thought it just plugged into the cartridge.
It plugged into the top, but also there was video pass through. So you had to bring video out of the Genesis into the 32X and then out of the 32X to a TV.
Huh.
And then the Sega CD, if you had that as well, there was also like an audio routing thing involved in that.
Huh.
I can't remember for sure.
That's right.
And there were a handful of games that were Sega CD games that had 32X support.
Oh, wow.
So they re-released Night Trap as a 32X game.
Did it have like better video quality?
It was using the extra horsepower to have slightly better video, like color depth or something. And it was it was nonsense garbage. But at the same time, fascinating.
It was a good lesson. Hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
Just bide your time, put out a new console. I can't think of much else. You know, Master System was kind of weak.
I can't say I got much use out of the Ouya, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that even count?
It was a pretty big
the thing is basically an Android phone masquerading as a console, right?
Right, but it was launched like a console.
Yeah, it had a controller.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it was an Android box when there weren't a ton of those yet, and people made more of them after the fact with different storefronts and different ideas. But like the Ouya is more of a failure of business than of anything else. Like they just didn't, and also they walked right into it with, like they thought they were going to be the exclusive home for those types of indie games, but then Sony and Microsoft said, no, we care about those games now too, and we're locking all of them up.
Yeah.
And we have Towerfall over here now too. So the one game you thought was going to be your thing is also here, like some months later. And they drove the Ouya into the dirt.
Yes. Yeah. Every game console has its place. Let's say.
Yeah.
Scott writes in from Melbourne, Australia. I'm at my local casino in Melbourne, and while walking from table to table, my girlfriend, also a listener, and I noticed that the top of every single card or roulette table has a Kinect 2.0 unit at the top of the table aimed down towards the player's hands. There have to be 500 to 1,000 of them here.
Whoa.
I guess someone found a use for these things, huh?
That's pretty cool.
That seems crazy and weird. What do you think that's about?
I don't know.
Surveillance,
Must be
security, security thing.
Anti-cheating, or like. Do
you think they found a way to use the infrared on that thing to?
Oh yeah, maybe with like card backs, like if you have some sort of you coat your cards or whatever, that way you can like find people trying to fit in fake cards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that thing is like not perfect, but it's built to recognize hand gestures, right?
And if you're not trying to track a whole body with it, and you've written specific software to do what you need it to do, it becomes better at the task.
Yeah.
Than what they were trying to use it for.
Or they found a box of 500 Kinects and they said, let's put these on the table. They look like cameras and people won't cheat.
Scare people.
I don't know.
These things fell off a truck.
That's really weird.
Man, yeah, I'm curious now if anybody out there works in gambling and has any idea specifically what these things are doing. I'm curious. Maybe it's an Australia thing. Everett, your Half-Life 3 talk last week made me wonder, are there any other long-awaited games left? StarCraft 2, Shenmue 3, Last Guardian, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, a good Sonic game, and even Star Fox 2 have all either come out or are publicly acknowledged as being in production. What other games are left that have a rabid following but no real plans of actually being made?
Well, it's not a rabid following, but StarCraft Ghost?
Yeah.
That was always one of the games that got brought up in the same breath as Half-Life for a while.
Yeah, he left out Duke Nukem Forever. which also was in that category. But I mean, didn't they cancel Ghost?
They did. They
flat out
did they
say
officially?
They
Okay.
did outright.
this game is
at
not
some
happening.
point. They were like, "Hey, this is not gonna go."
Yeah.
And it's coming out. It's the big BlizzCon announcement this year. They're bringing it out on GameCube.
That's right.
It's going to be huge.
I mean, they put that character in like everything.
Yeah.
She's all over the place, but
They had all these assets that they never did anything
yeah,
with.
that's true. Wired still does the Vaporware Awards. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
I looked that up though, and it's all stuff that, like, the 2016 Vaporware Awards include things like Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That's a weird one.
The fan also didn't include in their email. There's a new Bubsy coming out, so that's off the list.
Yeah. This mentions BG&E too, but that maybe is happening.
They've at least delivered new news about that
Yeah,
thing to give you another 10 years to go.
Yes.
So what's up with that? And then to go, what?
That does all sound so grandiose that could fall through. I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like you're just gonna like shamble, like sneak up to some sleeping Ubisoft person and go like, "Where's Beyond Good and Evil 2?" And they go, "Oh, please don't buy us." What? What? Oh no, we're still working on it. We put out another trailer. We got to keep them from buying us.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous conspiracy that I don't actually support, but
indeed,
it sure is fun to think.
Let's see. David from Johannesburg, South Africa, writes in. Been listening to most of you since the GameSpot days and really love the podcast and all of your video content. Something I have noticed is the spread of what I call the giant bomb whisper. This is the hushed, under-the-breath way of speaking that almost all of you use at various points during the show. And the weird thing about it is that it seems to slowly spread into the vernacular of every new Giant Bomb staff member. So when Jason first joined, he didn't do it, but now he does.
What's that?
It's only a matter of time before Ben starts to do it as well, so who originated it?
Look, I don't know what this guy's fucking talking about, but he needs to watch his business.
If my memory is correct, Jeff and Ryan were the first people I heard vocalizing in this way, and distinctly remember it slowly becoming a part of Brad's speech.
I don't know. You hang out with people and talk a lot. You start to talk like each other. It's
Yeah.
It's
Or you
fairly-
listen to
it's
them on a podcast.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah, exactly.
There's some of that for sure. But what does it mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah, sometimes we talk like this. Like, what is it?
It's usually when we're. I feel like the classic structure of it is
You go
saying
loud.
some dumb thing and
Yeah.
then saying what's really actually happening.
Right.
I'm adding
We
my
make
own
dumb,
parentheses.
bad claim, and then here's the hidden truth that nobody can know.
I feel like I've whispered on podcasts prior to Giant Bomb.
Nope.
but- No? Okay.
Sometimes you.
I know someone who knows someone who played that game.
All right, that's the best answer we can
Yeah.
conjure for you. Justin from Montana wants to know what is worse, video game movies or movie video games.
Well, they don't make as many video games anymore. And when
Yeah.
they do, they're mostly mobile.
We're in a real dry spell
Yeah.
there.
Those are always fine. I say video game movies are worse.
Yeah, just like a worse,
Yeah.
like a more dire affront to your sensibilities.
And the thing with those is like nobody hopes that movie video games are good. They're just like, oh, another game is coming out based on this movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But anytime I'm gullible, whatever you want to call me, but anytime they would say like we're making a movie for blank, there's a part of me that's like, what if this is the good one?
What if this is the one?
What if this is the good video game movie?
I used to get really I don't know. I feel bad for it because like my dislike of that stuff always came from they're not representing the medium properly. This is terrible. There's video game. They don't understand video games the way I do. Or
It's another one of
something
those
like that. It was just
situations
like,
where-
this is. I have a shitty attitude about this.
What was the recent video game movie that came out?
Oh, that one. That was terrible.
No, it was the only good. It was like the only time it was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. A video game movie.
Assassin's
Man,
It was
Creed.
definitely not Assassin's Creed.
No, it was a few months ago. Wow, it's really sad that none of
Angry
us can
Birds, the
remember.
movie.
No.
I can't think of a lot of others.
Pixels.
Angry Birds, the movie.
Yeah,
That
Pixels.
the main message of that movie is racism is good.
What? Great.
The whole plot revolves around when the pigs start moving in, everyone's like, yeah, it's fine that the pigs are coming, but the main bird's like, no, they're different and they're bad, and then they end up being evil, and everyone's like, oh, you were right to not trust them because they were different.
Best video
Well,
game.
they are Angry Birds.
It's true. The Wizard is the best video game movie.
Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
Dude, it had Super Mario Brothers 3 in it.
Yeah.
Remember that
He
shit?
does the whistle warp.
You remember that shit?
Yeah, that's a terrible movie, but it did have Super Mario Brothers 3 in
That's
it.
all that mattered.
I like...
It wasn't even out yet.
Yeah. I like Midnight Madness, which is not technically a video game movie, but there's a scene in an arcade that they're playing Starfire, the old Exidy game, and it's got bootleg TIE fighters in it.
Yeah.
It's really going to bug me. Hold on. I got to look up this movie.
All right.
Castlevania.
Oh, it was Castlevania. It was a movie.
the anime.
It was a series.
Oh,
I was,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking like box office.
Okay.
Big
So
screen.
yeah, that was the only like video game media
Mm-hmm.
that has been fresh.
Yeah. Here's a question from Tom. With 10 million sold, is somebody going to try to buy Bluehole? If so, who?
10 cent.
Or has the movement? Oh, yeah, there you go.
I think did they already invest?
I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like they did.
That's very possible.
I feel like it's a lot easier for like Microsoft to do some sort of exclusivity deal rather than buy the whole company.
Yeah. Well, the bigger thing, in fact, he has actually a fairly intelligent question here. Has the moment passed? Is a shooter a tougher thing to expand on than a game like Minecraft?
Yeah, I mean, you can expand with cosmetics, and you can, this is a game that I think is a pretty watchable game.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
That did not happen.
There was a rumor back in
Yeah.
August that Tencent had invested in Bluehole, but apparently that is not true.
Yes. And now they don't need any investment at all.
We'll see.
They should be fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they have enough capital to
To figure some stuff out.
continue on for quite some time.
Or to get a huge dump truck of money thrown at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they don't
Money
want-
begets more money.
Oh, you're right. You're right. But
Yeah.
presumably it's early enough for them that they don't necessarily want to have to answer to somebody right now.
Right.
Maybe they just cash out,
They've got the
and then
freedom.
they set up
eventually.
they set up
Eventually
another
you can-
studio, and
Or
then
they
see
set-
that.
Player Unknown's Comedy Night.
Or they set up their own Murder Island.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? I'm just gonna skip to fuck. I have to find it now. This was gonna be like the last email, but
Hey man, it could be.
somebody
Who
wrote in.
knows?
Somebody wrote in from Finland. I'm afraid to try to pronounce his name.
Here, let me see. Steven.
Tuomas? I've gotten zero experience with the Finnish language, which makes this email very hard to read. There is an actual island in Finland called Murder Island.
Great.
It also has a bridge called the Bridge of Murder Island.
I mean, that's sensible.
Unfortunately, most of the stuff related to it on the internet is in Finnish, but if you wish, you can look up stuff with its Finnish name, Murhasari. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a horrible butchery, probably. There are different stories related to how it got its name, from giants casting stones to duels between fiancé contestants. Ironically, the bridge is also very narrow and has been in the news a lot due to traffic accidents. So I'm sure it would make for a great map in PUBG as well.
Did you know that map has a fucking name?
No.
It's called it's
Map 1.
Erangel.
Oh.
Or Erangel. I don't know how you
Huh.
pronounce it. Erangel. I don't know.
Huh,
But
weird.
it has a fucking name.
That's
It
interesting.
was also in the patch notes of this last row.
I guess you're going to need that once other maps
yeah.
start.
Oh,
rolling
yeah.
out.
I don't think the name is new. I think they dropped it in there, and I'd never seen it
who-
before, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
He says, as a side note, here are some examples of other place names in Finland as literal translations.
Sweet.
Ham,
I'm going there.
Nibbler,
Yeah.
You go to
I was born.
That's
there.
where you go
I'm gonna
after
die
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Hobo Man's Road, Toilet Rear, Booze Hill,
Yep.
Rear America,
Nice.
Testicle Lake,
Mhm.
and Cat Spanker's Alley.
Whoa.
Not sure if that's a place you want to...
No, do not ever go to Cat Spanker Alley. I can speak to that. I've never been. I never will. Don't go there.
Yeah. Feel confident.
There is no amount of money in the world somebody could pay me to go to spend a night in Cat Spanker Alley.
I got $7 here, cash.
How
It's
long?
cash money.
What time?
I want you to just spend the night there, like you said.
Yeah, but what time do I have to get there?
I would say you
Sundown to sunrise?
should, let's say, normal. What's your normal sleeping hours?
6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay, great. Then you should be there from sundown to sunup.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I need to.
7 bones.
I need
American.
Sandwich. I need ham money.
Okay. Looking for nibbler money.
Yeah. Let's go hang out at Ham. Sounds like a place I want to be. Nick has this question.
Jungler money.
I have all three of the major current gen consoles. I've noticed Sony and Nintendo don't advertise games or other downloads to you unless you go into their stores. Microsoft, on the other hand, puts ads on the home area of their dashboard and in the beta dashboard.
Yeah.
45% of the links on my dashboard are either ads or what Microsoft calls suggestions. I'm not a fan of this and feel it's not okay. Am I getting worked up over nothing, or is this a real problem? It's kind of gross. I mean, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah,
Nintendo does serve like news items on the lock screen.
Yeah, that's not so
that do
bad.
include like, hey, this game is out. and
Yeah,
new.
I don't mind that so much. You get past that in 5 seconds.
But also, like I think some of the stuff on the Microsoft Dash, like so, I got that beta Dash. The new
super beta
dashboard.
one. Okay.
Yeah. It rolled out from the alpha ring to the beta
Okay.
ring, and
That's the one with the customizable units on the home screen.
you can customize like areas on it, almost like a Steam profile. You can say like, this is what I want my badges to be,
Okay.
and I want it to be the rarest badges. Like,
Wait, is that all it is, or is it like showing off achievements, or is it straight up I want these links
it's
to...
I want these links to other parts of the console.
Okay, that sounds.
in some cases.
If you can decide what you have quick access
or
to.
pins,
Yeah.
kind of the standard pins concept. But the one thing, so I think that Sony does a really bad job of surfacing, or you have to dig a little too deeply for what are the free games for PlayStation
Yes,
Plus members
I have
this month.
I have very narrowly avoided, like by like a matter of hours, missing those a couple times.
And
'cause I just forget.
So one of the things you can add to your homepage, like the first scroll down is how I have it set now, and I haven't really experimented with it a ton. It's a list of all the fucking games that are free at that moment.
Wow, that's cool.
And you can just hit there and go there. And I'm like,
That
this
is-
is super useful.
That sounds incredibly useful.
This is like a really, there's other stuff about that. Like they didn't really redesign the My Games and Apps stuff in a way that I feel they probably need to.
Mhm.
It's faster, but it's still what I want a dashboard to do is I always want it to register every single button press no matter what.
Yes.
Even if it can't draw in the items I'm scrolling past.
Yep.
Like don't halt.
Yes.
Like the Xbox
Xbox
often
One
feels
has
like
gotten
it has
terrible about that.
locked up for a couple of seconds
Yep.
because it is waiting to draw in images before it lets me before it accepts any more input.
Yep.
It should always let me make input. It should always register that input and draw in the shit later. It still has that issue.
That is the thing that I have been on Android for the last 4 months, and maybe it's the LG that I'm on and not the OS, but like they don't prioritize UI responsiveness the way that iOS does, and it's fucking infuriating.
Yeah,
and yeah, the Xbox One has got the same problem. Like,
yeah,
like you should not feel like the thing is hung while you're sitting there hitting buttons and nothing's happening.
Yeah, it does that more than it should.
Yeah.
And it still does. It's a beta. I don't know, but it does seem a little bit faster. The layout, I think, in some ways, it looks a little more plain and maybe a little less flashy than the older one did.
Yeah.
But it seems like an improvement just in terms of usability.
Yeah.
I'll have to spend some more time with it, and of course, they're still iterating on it. But tentatively, I think it's an improvement from where they were at.
Yeah. Like I can't believe part of like my calculus for should I buy an Xbox One X is like maybe the dashboard will run faster on that thing.
I fucked up and bought an Xbox One S, and that was one of the reasons I used in my head to justify it. Was like, oh, maybe the dashboard is a little faster. I'm like, you moron! I'm an idiot. No.
Yeah, but the X is really fast. This time it'll work for sure.
Maybe. PS4 Pro, those icons drew in a little bit faster.
Also, when I put that hybrid, I
bet,
put that Fire CUDA in my PS4 Pro, those icons draw in really fast now.
Yeah.
The Switch is really good about that.
Yeah.
Switch is you just scroll back and forth on that row all day long, and it never hitches.
The movement feels good.
Yeah, the Switch
The
interface
noise it makes when you go to your all games.
The system interface sounds like the responsiveness, like this, like the thing is bare bones as fuck, but it works.
Sometimes it's all you need.
Good on them.
And not launched to TV.
Yeah.
Or all this other stuff the Xbox One theoretically does.
Yeah.
You still watch TV
Yes.
via an Xbox One?
That thing is good to plug an antenna into because you get like pause and rewind and shit like that you would not have if you just stuck the antenna straight in your TV. But like they didn't go all the way. They canceled that DVR functionality.
Right.
So like, can you like aren't there like open source replacements for stuff like that?
Yeah,
like,
you could buy like an HD home run or
just-
whatever it is.
yeah.
That's like a tuner that sits on your network.
Yeah.
And then like stuff like Plex will actually DVR shows.
Man. Yeah, that's like, dude, if they had added that DVR stuff to the Xbox One, like going out and getting like a cheap used, like launched one of those would have been like an amazing way to get like DVR stuff on antenna TV, but it is what it is.
That would require me to want to watch any TV, antenna or otherwise.
Yeah.
So I don't know
man.
I bought an antenna and never hooked it up.
There's a station, I mean, this definitely wouldn't matter for you. It barely matters for me because it doesn't always come in, but there's a station out of San Jose that plays back-to-back Law and Order fucking constantly. Constantly.
All of them, or what SVU?
I'd say it's
CI.
It's mostly about half and half regular and SVU. Once in a while they'll have a criminal intent day, and like that's not a good day.
What? CI is the only good Law and Order.
No, what?
Flip this goddamn table.
Vincent D'Onofrio is the only. Okay, no.
I got no problem with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Original Law and Order is fine. SVU sucks.
It's not just fine.
It's good. It's the best. I'm gonna put the show on and watch it.
This shit.
But CI, it tells a story. It has character arcs. It has development
From episode to episode, or within one episode.
No, I mean, yeah. There's
Okay, you mean like a long-term
Vincent
story?
D'Onofrio has
Okay.
has a rival, and she's like always trying to one up him.
Okay,
and,
because
like,
they try that in SVU and it's terrible. Like they should not.
I don't
do
want that. I want like at the end of an episode of Law and Order, someone comes in and says, "What are you doing?" And then Jerry Orbach says like, "It's my kid's birthday." Boom, done. That's all I want. It's like just that little glimpse into just like some other life thing.
Yeah.
Just enough to like, sprinkle it and you go like, "Oh, there's just some stuff going on." I don't want actual explicit story.
Yeah, I'm with
that's
you.
ridiculous.
Yes.
I love Vincent D'Onofrio.
I want
Vincent
Law and
D'Onofrio
Order
is
grimoire
totally fine.
cards.
Yeah, right. Original Law and Order had this mystique to it.
Yeah.
And then the new one, they just spell everything out. There's all these wisecracking robots in there, and it's
put
just
you in a jumpsuit. And it's just...
supercharged.
Mm-hmm.
I every time fucking Destiny says supercharged on my screen, I hear it in Ice-T's voice. I swear to God.
That's
great.
pretty good.
I don't know why.
That's
well with the PC
but I
release
say
coming
it out loud.
Yeah, maybe you can mod that in.
I say it out loud 1 out of 10 times.
There is a noise it makes when the supercharges. Maybe you could find that audio file. If it doesn't do a full integrity check on PC,
just replace it with the Law and Order sound.
The Law and Order sound.
The Law and Order sound, or just we could find Ice-T saying supercharged. Somewhere.
Probably. Man.
Or the Law and Order sound. That'd be real stupid.
I wish that station came in better. Every time an airplane flies overhead, it really shits the bed.
Yeah.
Connor from Apple Valley. I saw that Mario has retired from plumbing, according to some description on a Nintendo Japan site. Do you think we are entering an era of decadent Mario? Will he be unrelatable now that he has shed the trappings of blue-collar life for a bourgeois lifestyle? Are we at the part of the lore where Mario becomes Wario?
Oh, fuck.
Like, what is he implying?
Oh, fuck.
Like, is he implying that Wario is some kind of robber baron? Like
idle hands like the devil's playground.
Industrial magnate?
Idle Mario, eventually.
I think he's implying that Wario is Dark Mario. Wario is Mario with nothing to live for anymore from the future, gone back in time to either save himself or to sabotage himself. That's a decision you have to make in the last Mario game, which is called Mario Wario, where you take that turn from Mario to Wario. You go back in time and you're like, I either have to change things so that I stay a plumber forever and I can stay with, because like him and Peach fall apart. Like even Yoshi leaves him.
I feel like there's an alternate ending to that game where he just never stopped being a carpenter. Because he was a carpenter before he was a plumber.
That's right. Times are tough. You got to diversify.
Yeah.
It's the eradication of the middle class.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mario is a hero of the proletariat.
It's already got hammers.
Halfway there.
Oh, you're right about that.
Where's Red?
Man. It's almost like they knew.
This is what they've been seeding this.
Yeah, I guess so. Jacob. I was at a bar last night and they had a golden tea machine. This golden tea machine was on attract mode and advertised hats. Hats you could win in-game to put on your character, Golden Tee now has loot boxes. The future is here.
Like a golf cap.
That's
like those games are networked.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of weird shit you can do.
Wait, so do you sign into a Golden Tee machine?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, to compete in tournaments and stuff like
Weird.
that. Like, they
I want to say you have like a player card.
I was gonna say surely it's not.
maybe
I was gonna say
yeah.
maybe you have a thing you plug in. That's
We
probably
should
what
get a
it is,
Golden
yeah.
Tee in the office.
We should.
I want to stealth get
we should-
really good at Golden Tee.
Maybe we should go out on location and find a Golden Tee machine and like put it through its paces or something.
I've been playing some Everybody's Golf.
Yeah.
Play
good?
the music from the start of the show. We gotta get back to. Stuff
Oh yeah.
that
Let me.
Is that good?
That's the email song.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we did that beta on UPF, and
Yeah.
it kind of just seemed like a golf game.
It is. It's just a friendly ass, nice looking,
All right.
relaxing fucking golf
Yeah,
game. You just
okay.
want to hang out, play some motherfucking golf.
Drink
Like,
an Arnold
they've got your
Palmer.
back.
There's-
Get an AP.
There's room in the world for that. Just
Yeah.
a nice, pleasant golfing experience.
And you level up so as you use individual clubs, you level up your skill with said club. So like for driving really far.
Oh, so they made clans matter finally.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
You'll get better with the one wood.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they've added a ton of.
I've already mastered the one wood.
Try the 3 wood next. They've added a lot of microtransaction stuff around the edges and customization of the character and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of
hard to get too upset.
But it's like there's a lot of it, and it seems. There's a lot of stuff in the store, and some of that stuff seems a little strange. I don't know. I have not dug into that aspect of the game to know if it is filthy or just kind of a bummer. But they do have like limited use items like balls and stuff, which they've had for a while.
It's like a baseball. Can you get like a soccer ball in there?
Yeah,
bounces further.
You can turn on mega cups, which are bigger cups for the ball to go in, so it's easier to sink a putt and stuff.
Does that have any kind of like story mode or anything, or is it just like, hey, play some
play
a
some
few
golf.
holes?
You're leveling up, and when you level up, you attract new golfers to the area that you can challenge, and when you beat them, you unlock their parts for use for your created character and stuff like that. But they've got a lot of online tournament stuff that seems really smartly designed.
That's cool.
It is a well-made thing.
That's cool. It had been too long. Felt weird having a PlayStation out there without a hot shots on it.
I like a 2-click putting system, and this uses the full 3 clicks. That's the only thing I'd say about it. Also, fucking super fucking smart thing they did. The loading screens have the fucking meter on it, and you can just sit there and fucking get good at the meter while it's loading. It's so fucking awesome.
Are we now reaping the benefits of Namco's patent expiring?
Maybe, I don't know.
That's good stuff.
And it just tells you what the numbers are on what you hit. If you 95% power and you got it in the middle, nice work. And you can just do it again.
That's cool.
And while it loads,
that's a good idea.
Really smart.
Here's another email from Finland. This comes from Mika.
All right.
When making a sandwich, does the cheese go under all the other condiments or on the top?
Doesn't matter.
My girlfriend insists at the bottom. I say on top because that way it helps hold down the other stuff and gives you a relatively unmessy gripping surface while eating.
Just flip it over. Just flip it over. Then it's on top.
Yeah,
I usually
on top, flip it over.
I usually go meat, cheese, vegetables, condiments.
Yep. See, with me, it's a lot easier because it's meat, cheese, put the bread on and eat it.
That's too dry.
Maybe put a little salt on there, a little pepper.
All that's important is like anything that slides around can't be next to each other, right? So you can't have pickles next to tomato.
Friction is you're worried about the coefficient of friction there.
It doesn't matter what order to me that so your stabilizers are meat, cheese, and lettuce.
That's really what it is.
And they just have to be in between everything else.
Yeah.
And as long as that's fine, you're good.
That sounds complicated.
You can't put a bunch of slippery vegetables on top of each other because the whole thing will just fall
Or
apart.
like pickles on the mayo because that's too slidey still even. Unless you have like a perfect amount of mayo. If there's a little bit too much, then it's going to be a problem.
What if you just put meat on there and then you put some cheese on there and then that's it?
Then I'd be like, man, this sandwich is dry.
Fuck a dry sandwich.
Get a drink, man.
Well, don't fuck a dry sandwich.
Oh, God, yeah, you're right.
Just buy a drink to go with your sandwich and then take sips of the drink.
What if you could have both? Then you stay extra hydrated.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that the hydration properties of mayo might be a little you might be left wanting.
Yeah, maybe.
It's oil, man. Oil is very hydrating.
It's true. It lubricates the joints.
Well, if it's a joint lubricant, I guess I can't argue with that.
That's science, I'm sure. I put everything I can find in my house that would go
Yes.
on a sandwich on the sandwich.
Artichoke hearts,
Yes.
pesto,
Yes,
like-
pepperoncinis,
yeah.
like anything in my fridge that looks like it might work on a sandwich, it's going on.
I
there.
made like a slaw out of pickles, artichoke hearts, pesto, and some other weird green vegetable.
Wow,
Maybe
that sounds
peppercini,
good.
and made that like a spread.
Ooh. Kind of a jardinera sort of thing.
Yeah.
Man,
Sandwiches are good. I got one waiting for me over there, and
Ooh.
all I could think about is eating it.
if my sandwich has less than 6 things on it, I feel deficient.
The sandwich place I get the sandwiches from is great because they cut it in half and fold it out so that the insides are facing out, and then wrap it in plastic so you can just see the inside of your sandwich,
Okay.
just
Wow.
drawing you in. Ooh, look at the sandwich you're gonna
Get
eat.
into this thing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Why did you even let them wrap it up? You should just be eating it.
Remember the Snack Depot?
Yeah. God. That was a good sandwich place near here.
Man, wonder what George is doing right now.
He's just living off his son's chiropractor business. Is that what it was?
Is that real? I don't know.
I think that's real.
I never really
If you're
engaged.
listening, George, email us.
I never really engaged George much beyond the sandwich order. He was just a nice guy. Also, my parents came to town like once a year, and he remembered my dad's order.
It's intense.
He's a hell of a deli proprietor.
Yeah.
All right. Let's read 3 more emails quickly.
What?
Well, you want to get out of here, don't
I
you?
just gotta pee.
Oh,
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Hit
We'll
me.
go through these quickly. Matt from Pennsylvania. Did DB Cooper survive after he jumped out of that plane?
Yes.
Yes.
What's your evidence?
I'm right here.
They never found him.
Oh, right. Yeah. Didn't they find some of that money?
Yeah, there was like a little bit of ripped up money that they thought had come from it, found around the area or something, or found somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, he went on to work at an ad agency, and that's the end of that.
Yes. All right.
There was that theory that Don Draper was DB Cooper.
What?
There was a really, it was, I mean, it's one of those, like, you read it and you're like, oh, this is a convincing
this just a
argument using
goofy
very
fan-
anecdotal evidence.
Fan
but-
theory.
Yeah.
Should I watch the rest of that show? We
Yeah.
fell off halfway through, like back when it was new, and
Yeah, it drags a little bit in like the middle-ish, but I like how they wrapped it a lot.
all right, should get back to that sometime. Okay. Hunter. During the last Unprofessional Fridays, you guys briefly played some Revenge of Shinobi music, and then accidentally started playing a video about the revision changes to the game. Jeff remarked that they didn't have the Marvel credit in the first edition of the cart, and Brad thought it was amazing that somebody bothered chronicling that. While I understand why this would seem like a hyper-obscure thing to pay attention to from afar, you guys seem to not remember the craziest thing about Revenge of Shinobi, the blatant copyright infringement in the first edition. The first edition had John Rambo clones as dudes with flamethrowers, the Terminator as a boss, Godzilla as a boss, Spider-Man as the first stage of a boss fight, who then morphs into Batman.
Yeah.
What?
That's the one. That's the why they had to put the credit on.
Yeah. These were eventually changed to Rambo became generic bald men with flamethrowers.
Huh.
The Terminator stayed, but it turns green when it gets angry, which probably made enough of a difference from the real thing. Godzilla became a basic skeletal dinosaur. Sega used the license they had to make Spider-Man games to make the fake Spider-Man real, so he no longer shapeshifts and exits the stage. They then made him a pink palette swap when they re-released it on last-gen consoles. Batman became a non-litigious knockoff of the Japanese manga character Devilman. I am the lucky owner of a Revision 1 cart, which I consider to be the best possible product resulting from a Marvel DC crossover.
Yeah, I have one of those. I bought it when it first came out, so
Yeah.
I had one of those original carts. I encountered the other ones.
Yeah, I always remembered the Spider-Man thing, but
I never went A to B on
crazy.
them to
Yeah.
see that they'd made all these other changes.
I had no idea all that
Characters
stuff.
never
gonna go
looked like
find a
Rambo to
video
me,
of
but
that.
I
Yeah,
don't know. Go
that's-
back and watch that video because apparently that's the one.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Seth from Pennsylvania, last email.
Him saying that there was a Godzilla boss. Now I remember, like, oh yeah, there was a flame-breathing dragon-y kind of thing.
Yeah. It's nuts. Seth from Pennsylvania. I have not beaten or very well played at length a Sonic game in nearly 20 years, but with the release of Sonic Mania and the footage I have seen, I have wondered if Sonic is truly the bad guy. As far as I can tell, Dr. Eggman is giving those cute animals badass cybernetic upgrades, allowing them to defend themselves from a mindless speed demon gathering up all of their gold with ambitions of chaos. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, look who he associates himself with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Big the Cat's obviously a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Shadow's a bad guy.
That's a
Tail
shady crew.
sucks.
Big the
Knuckles
Cat is a
sucks.
heavy. He's the enforcer for sure.
Yeah.
Knuckles is just a dick.
Amy just running with a bad crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so.
I buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll ever play Sonic Mania again after what happened on Friday. All right.
You just got to hold to the right and hope for the best.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently that's
that's
a
what,
known bug.
Apparently that's what caused the
Yeah.
bug, is if you try to move after you beat that boss fight, it makes the game get stuck. Bombcast@gibomb.com. Thanks for writing.
You should know not to move in a Sonic game.
I know, right? Why would you ever try to go to the right
Got to stand still.
in a Sonic
That's
game?
what they say.
That's how that works. That's it for the podcast. Thanks for listening. You guys will be
Yeah, we got a post-show.
showing
Yeah.
shortly.
I'm going to go
Stay
cram
tuned.
that sandwich down my throat and
Yeah.
then start the show.
You
kind of
cram a
sandwich is it?
sandwich. I'm going to...
What kind of sandwich?
Ham and cheddar.
Ham and cheddar. Okay.
Very straightforward.
Good combo. All right. Well, enjoy your sandwich.
I
Stay
will.
tuned if you're watching live for the after show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.